you guys ready? Are you guys ready? Literally, my interview portion, I don't think pops up till like, I think it's like 15 minutes in, 25 minutes in, so it'll be a second. He truly knows his business. I know that man's roasted me last video. Okay, he was. he posted a video about roasting the LOTRO classes, and literally it was on Morden, and he said, yeah, like people roast this class because XYZ, essentially. He's like, but maybe it's not the class, maybe it's the pilot, aka the player. And I'm just sitting here like, you trying to say something, Louis? Like, we can go. No, I'm kidding. No, but I mean, he's right, you know? But I feel like that could be said for all the classes, because he was dogging on some classes. I was like, listen, I don't think you should dog on some of these classes, but I don't know. All right, let's play. All right, replay.
One ring to rule them all. One ring to fight them. One ring to bring them all. And in the darkness, fight them.
All right, I'm already pausing. Warden is great if you live next door to the server farm. Right, the lag is terrible on Warden. And you play on a no-pop server, right? That's what I'm saying. Warden is not my forte, okay? I just don't care for it. I feel like it's a little it's overcomplicated for no reason. That's how I'll explain it. I don't know. But yeah, the lag does not help it. All right, I'll shut up now. We'll actually watch this.
Lord of the Rings Online, the MMORPG that best captures the spirit of Tolkien's world, even if too literally. I realize that There and Back Again is the formal title for The Hobbit, yet building an entire gameplay loop around backtracking seems excessive. I was just here! Yet with the onset of Amazon's Lord of the Rings MMO bearing down, does Lord of the Rings Online have what it takes to stand firm? Also, in this video is a full-length podcast featuring Aubrey the Weird One, a LOTRO content creator who has played the MMO since its release. Let's celebrate LOTRO in 2023 while remembering the words of Mr. Gamgee. There's some good in this world, Mr. Frodo, and it's worth fighting for.
I love it.
Hello.
Ads! I forgot ads are gonna be a thing. Damn it. I need an ad blocker, I know. I'm slacking. We're just gonna keep playing it, you know, every time we run into ads. But at the same time, you gotta support the creators, okay? We want ads. I'm sorry. Was The Hobbit really called, like, Then and Back Again, or whatever the title was? Was it originally called that, and I just never knew this? I feel like I should look this up. Alright, I'm sorry. We'll play. We'll play if the...
Publishing a video on an MMORPG that faithfully represents Tolkien's iconic universe feels as insurmountable as Frodo's quest to destroy the Ring of Power.
I wish the ring had never come to me. I wish none of this had happened.
For example, we can judge EverQuest 2 against EverQuest, or consider The Elder Scrolls Online against any title, from Daggerfall to Skyrim. But while LOTRO exists within a constellation of other Lord of the Rings games, including eon-defining classics, it's fundamentally tied to literature, but not any anthology. Rather, the fundamental fantasy-defining anchor on which most other IPs are based, whether consciously or not. Sure, Tolkien's inspiration includes Greco-Roman, biblical, English, and Norse mythologies, yet in terms of modern inspiration, Tolkien is fantasy canon. To this end, part of our quest is not only to view Lord of the Rings Online with respect to the tropes of its genre as a MMORPG, yet also as a visual book of sorts, preserving and protecting an authentic representation of the professor's work for over 16 years. This description of the Old Forest in The Fellowship of the Ring is illustrative of three important themes in LOTRO.
I'll pause. Hey, C-Marlets, how's it going? Welcome in. We are watching a podcast that I was asked to be a part of, a YouTube video, I guess. and we are just casually watching it. Hopefully, one thing I didn't consider too is that hopefully we don't get like a copyright strike, because that would really suck. But I didn't realize like how many clips of the movie were gonna be in this. But you know, hey, is it Kanu? How are you doing today? Yo yo yo. Ooh yeah. So this is like the beginning. I was asked by MarleMMO to just talk about LOTRO, my personal opinions and all of that. Fortunately, I forgot ads are a thing, so we're gonna have some ad breaks, but yeah. Okay, cool. I'm glad I got it right, you know? But yeah. So yeah, this is more of a watch party. So sit back, grab your snacks. I got some popcorn, you know? Do you think it's worth getting into? You know, I talk about that in the podcast, in the interview, so yeah. And then I also have other YouTube videos on it, so if you want to check those out. But if you want to watch the podcast episode, I also linked it, so you can go directly to the video. You saw me on Kat's Discord? Oh, nice! I love Kat, okay? I legit, okay, last night, I was literally watching Kat's stream, alright? And I was trying to do the stream review. I was clicking so quickly when she opened it up, and I missed it, so. So, yeah. I've gotten a lot of great advice from Kat, so. My bad, I'll be patient. No worries, Marlins. Greetings, Audrey and fellow weird ones. Welcome, Maverick. How's it going? We're having a watch party, so feel free to chill out, grab some snacks. We're watching a YouTube video that I was a part of, so it was really awesome to collaborate, so. Low-key scared to have a review of mine. Dude, so literally, Kanu, I was like, I was sitting on the stream yesterday, and I saw that I just got in, so I was like, oh, okay, like, should I do it? Like, I'm a little nervous too. I was scared too, but I was like, listen, I might not have another opportunity. So I tried, but I didn't make it. I tried. I was probably like the 7th person to like click on it, but literally it all got taken out. I gotta run to the store and get my Orville red and backer. Oh yeah, you gotta get your Orville. I think I have the knockoff brand of Orville, but it's literally the same. Yes, I literally. You need it. You definitely need it, you know? Alright, I'm gonna play it again, guys. But I'll let you know. Oh, thanks so much, Kanu, for the follow. Welcome to the weird community. I hope you're having a blast. We need a review from the top of the spire. Surely she won't fall. Oh my gosh, I surely will fall. That'd be terrible. Alright, I'm gonna play this. Oh my gosh, every time I play this, I keep forgetting I'm tapped in Streamlabs. Oh my god. I just clicked off the video! I can't be trusted, okay? I just clicked off. Now I gotta find where we were. Where were we, guys? Where were we? Okay, I found it. I'm so sorry. I'm not used to these watch parties, okay? I never do these. Okay. Captions on. Okay, cool. Okay, we're good.
This description of the Old Forest in The Fellowship of the Ring is illustrative.
Sorry. What happened with quality? Okay, quality's good.
Of 3 important themes in LOTRO.
The leaves were all thicker and greener
forest.
about
Cool.
the edges of the glade, enclosing it with an almost solid wall. A dreary place, but it seemed a charming and cheerful garden after the close forest. The hobbits felt encouraged and looked up hopefully at the broadening daylight in the sky. At the far side of the glade, there was a break in the wall of trees and a clear path beyond it.
We can clearly appreciate the compelling and visceral accuracy with which LOTRO designers have illuminatingly brought Tolkien's world to life. In fact, when I asked LOTRO's community what keeps them playing, the resounding answer is the world. Not combat, not class design, PvP, or another social feature.
Can I just say it's definitely not combat, it's definitely not class design. I think when he asked me that, I literally said it was, I didn't say it was the story, but I think I said it was the environment, like it was the world, so just putting that out there.
Feature, but in particular, Middle Earth. This took me by surprise, since most Guild Wars 2 players likely would not cite Tyria as their answer, nor those who enjoy ESO Tamriel. Now, while world building extends beyond topographic sculpting, The locations in LOTRO are not only emotionally inspiring, they feel Tolkien. Consider the vast stretches of Rohan or Gondor that pull the writer into its ever-expanding plains, or the chandelier of ore jettisoning from the top of Moria's vaulted ceilings. Feel the depravity of Mordor's repression, or the cold darkness of Minas Morgul's seething fortress. The inspiration of Minas Tirith, standing stalwart against the onslaught of Sauron. One moment you could be delving tunnels on the outskirts of Moria, to fighting door to door through the entire city of Osgiliath.
Oh,
or
yeah.
helping a local butcher serve meat to his customers, then joining children dancing in the rain.
I don't know anyone who does that in LOTRO, but okay.
The world simply is. It goes on without you, while inviting all to partake. While adventuring in LOTRO is not quite a sandbox, it does not feel suffocatingly theme parkish either. In fact, the open world design can encourage players to roam off the beaten path, to experience Middle-earth in their own way, honoring Mr. Baggins' legacy. Not all those who wander are lost. Even the level range of zones helps reinforce a living and breathing world. For example, the immediate zone to the east of a new area for beginning characters includes mobs whose level skyrockets above your own, and a teasing collection of ruins outside of Mosswood, a new starting town, requires additional training before tackling. Thus, progression is not strictly linear, and you are rewarded for being adventurous, just like the experience of the original Fellowship. Adventuring can include subtle moments of implicit storytelling too. While stumbling about in Mosswood, an observant player may notice a picture of the Doors of Doran on a dwarf's wall, not only forecasting
That's
the fate
super
of
cool.
your character, yet also underscoring the unspoken values of this NPC.
I
who may
hate those
only
tentacles
experience
so
their
much,
ancestral
man.
dwarf home by proxy of a painting, a painted representation of an ancient memory, something they likely won't experience, yet you may. Moreover, the closer to Mordor you travel, the grimmer the reality becomes. Imagine stumbling upon a freshly raided village in eastern Gondor. Smoke arrogantly rises from
Oh
the
my
ashes
God.
of human families recently slaughtered
Where is
by
this? Is
marauding
that on
bands of
Gondor?
orcs, goblins, and fell beasts. Cages hang from burnt trees, filled with victims who only the day before were enjoying their last fateful moments of freedom.
Why did this
There
turn so
are
dark?
no quests here, no point of interest. Simply the fact of Mordor's looming threat. Your emotional response is the content here. What you do with it is up to you. Finally, my favorite observation to highlight here is visual forecasting. I've been playing MMOs since Classic EQ in 1999, and I cannot think of a title that provides better visual teasing than LOTRO. Just as the Hobbit saw a clear path beyond the line of trees in the old forest, so LOTRO level designers draw subtle attention to what type of content could come next, while still keeping you engaged in the moment-to-moment gameplay of where you currently are. This is done either by sheer and staggering contrast of a towering fortress against a wasteland, the romantic glint of flickering candles basking under the dancing lights of night, a beckoning tower crying out to those who see it glisten in the
This
distance,
is so
the
poetic,
stalwart
guys.
confidence
I
of
could
Minas
never.
Tirith opposing its looming siege, to the gentle hum of city life nestled over a scenic lake. Thus, the continuous pull to continue exploring Middle-earth never seems to stop, and your curiosity is repeatedly rewarded by an ever-present cycle of visual coaxing. But keeping your attention fixated is not always the designer's my precious. Your senses are
My
allowed to not
precious.
only rest, yet laze in the cooling presence of night. Day and night cycles are difficult to implement in MMOs because developers have to
Do you guys know what MMO this is? I keep seeing it pop up and like it doesn't look familiar, but I'm very intrigued. Like it's obviously older. But I have no idea what MMO this is. It's crazy. I honestly feel bad. It's EverQuest art. Okay. Holy crap. So I honestly feel bad for ever saying anything negative about LOTRO's graphics because I'm sorry, these graphics are terrible. Like I keep looking at it like this is definitely an MMO that came out like years ago. Like a lot longer than LOTRO anyway. That's crazy. Didn't they say EverQuest could be wrong? Yeah, You might be right, attacking sharks. I can't speak, but hey, by the way. Hope you're doing well. Yeah, I must have missed that, but I know he mentioned EverQuest at some point, but I wasn't sure if this was EverQuest. 99 for EverQuest? Oh my god, Coco. It's from 1999. Oh my god. Okay, so I'm literally not dog watering on any more of LOTRO's graphics from here on out. But EverQuest is still so popular. Like, people are still recommending I play it. Do you guys think it's worth playing? Alright, I'll play it. Let me know if I'm like pausing too much or whatnot. I don't want to be that annoying person that pauses like 24/7, but I also don't want to like not speak sometimes, so yeah, that's it. I feel like I'm getting a whole history lesson though on MMOs. This is great.
Balance function with fidelity. LOTRO has executed this dance perfectly. While to my knowledge there are no mechanical differences to playing at night, and a veteran can correct me if I'm wrong, there are experiential
graphics don't make a good game.
Earthy tones blend
Yeah,
together,
for sure.
selecting forest.
I guess I should just say, like, that's something that a lot of people talk about, is always they always want to talk about graphics box, and like even my boyfriend, he will not play LOTRO because he's like, the graphics just look terrible. But like, I've mentioned it, especially in this past video I had with SWTOR. I was like, SWTOR's graphics are like over the top in comparison to LOTRO. And people were like hating on me for saying that, but like, it's true. I mean, SWTOR also came out later, so that's part of it. But yeah, definitely, I'm all about story. At the end of the day, I don't care about graphics, but I was just curious, that's all.
For sound-based adventuring than primarily optical. Finding your way is both more difficult and easier as paths fade into the darkness, yet your destination is bathed in light. Not to mention the dancing constellation of stars that bring personality and comfort to a typically unsuspecting object. In fact, the skyboxes feel like another character in the game world. The vast ocean of clouds.
I haven't seen LOTRO properly reshaded now.
Like a mere individual against its towering heights. Yet I don't believe
I'm sure
that
it looks
Knight's
weird.
design is an accident. It's distinctly Tolkien.
The night grew on, and the
Tolkien.
lights in the valley went out. Away high in the east swung Remmereth, the netted stars, and slowly above the mists red Borgil rose, glowing like a jewel of fire. Then by some shift of airs all the mist was drawn away like a veil, and there leaned up, as he climbed over the rim of the world, the swordsman of the sky, Menelvagor, with his shining belt.
Artistry's purview encompasses more than what meets the eye. Tickling the ear is critical too, even if less obvious. While an argument can be made that LOTRO's graphics show its age, its sound design stands toe-to-toe with any modern opponent. Whether you're strolling through a festive celebration...
That's true.
Enjoying a peaceful valley?
I've never been here. I definitely want to go.
Entering a pub.
I love the pubs in LOTRO. I gotta say it. They're the best.
LOTRO's soundscape is exceptional. There are even different combat themes for various locations.
Oh my god, we've heard this one over and over. Dun dun.
It's as ecstatic as Middle-earth itself.
I'm glad
There's
you mentioned
even
this
an
sound.
expansive music system and performance culture, something I hope veterans share in more detail in the comments.
So I want to talk about this. So this got brought up in the interview a lot. We talked a lot about the music stuff, and I am so uneducated when it comes to the music system in LOTRO. So I kept saying, like, listen, like, I don't know. Like, I don't know. So if you guys have anything to mention about the music system in LOTRO, I know a lot of people, like, I've talked about it on streams, like, since I had this convo with Marle, but I remember, like, people were saying, like, it's one of the best in comparison to any other MMOs. Like, most other MMOs don't have, like, a music system where your characters can play, like, certain instruments, and you can actually, like, use songs of, like, pop culture and stuff, too. So whatever I say regarding the music stuff, like, disregard, because I am not the person to be mentioning that, and I was very, like, taken aback when this got mentioned a lot throughout the interview, because I was like, I have no idea. Like, listen, like, I've never tried the music system. Like, yeah. So please share your comments and feedback, because I need them. I need to know.
Another item to ponder when considering LOTRO is its bookish feel. I don't mean its long quest dialogues or its narration in dungeons.
Othrangroth, the Great Barrow, the oldest and largest of the Adain mounds within the Barrow Downs, and home to some of the most terrifying servants of the Witch King.
I refer to the distinct components popular in book genres. For example, viewing the
You love
world
going to
through another
Crick
character's
concerts,
eyes
Ed?
is
Dude, I love the Crick concerts. Like, I love the music, like the musicians and all the bands and stuff. I love them so much, but like, I literally don't know how anyone does it. But yeah, it's so good. I love going to them too. And I was actually, one thing that came up during the interview was about the Weatherstock concerts, and I was like, I've never heard of this. Like, I just saw people just randomly go out and have concerts. And then I saw that Greenfields, like, there's a concert out there, like, pretty annually, but I didn't realize that Weatherstock had, like, an annual one. Yeah. After grinding, I would stop by there. Yeah, true. I love going by the Prancing Pony, and I always see a concert. It's just it's awesome.
common in literature, yet not frequently experienced in MMOs. In LOTRO, you not only have the option to experience
Currently at
key
Dragon
moments
Fest?
in
I'm
Lord of the
glad.
Rings history,
Nice.
as if playing another
What is
character,
that?
yet you are also brought along into the memories of other characters that help bring to life Middle-earth. Still more, the main quest follows books and chapter divisions, further emphasizing the fundamental organizational structure of Lord of the Ring Online storytelling. If I'm not being obvious enough,
Is the
LOTRO
music
is
of it
closer to
awesome?
a graphical novel than it is an
I need
MMO.
to look at it. I need to look it
There
up.
is a reason why I kept the gameplay section of Lord of the Rings Online until now. Yes,
How
it's a
long
game.
is it going to,
Sure,
Goblin?
it's an MMORPG. Yeah, it has guilds, instances, quests, items, the standard features that one expects to enjoy within the framework of the genre. While we will give these the space they deserve, it's important to understand that they are subservient to and provide principal support for what LOTRO actually is. Tolkien's magnum opus, materialized in a shared virtual space. As an older title, LOTRO tries to preserve the RPG in the MMO, something that most games in the genre struggle to support. While you rarely have tough choices to make while completing strings of quests, you still feel the thrill of adventure.
There's one
augmented
more
by
band.
bona
Dang,
fide
I was gonna
storytelling.
try to go
The
see.
pacing of LOTRO is slower than Black Desert Online or Retail WoW, yet not in a way that detracts from the experience. In fact, if you are looking for an
Yeah, it's
immersive
okay.
MMORPG that does not implicitly suggest that you are a failure by not rushing to the endgame, then LOTRO leads the pack. With that said, quests are a mixed bag. While the main quest line is engaging, most overworld quests are more or less killer fetch tasks. This is not inherently bad or wrong, yet I would rather these disappear in exchange for a naturally more rewarding open world experience. Moreover, as hinted earlier, backtracking is fairly common, yet this style is not used everywhere. The Brackwater Cave has a good circular design that not only tells a reasonable and fitting story, yet also funnels the player through the experience without any additional hassle. Moreover, it serves as a compelling precursor to Moria's content. If more of
I'm out of
LOTRO's
popcorn.
overworld was structured as so, I think it would provide a less annoying experience. Here are a few examples of frustrating quest design in LOTRO. After you deliver lunches to hungry dwarves, you must then gather reagents to craft
I remember
pickaxes.
these quests.
But we were just there.
I do
clearing
not
out a
like these
cave
quests
moments
either.
before, so why couldn't I have picked the materials then? And since the
I'm sorry, isn't that a common thing within any MMO? I'm about to stick up for LOTRO here, okay? I swear to goodness, this is a common thing in, honestly, not even MMOs, games. It's always like, alright, let me go and do this quest for someone, I'm gonna help someone out, and the next minute, thank you so much, Bronco, for the follow. Welcome to the Weird Community. Hope you're having a blast. But yeah, so that's something just within any game, is that it's like, okay, all right, thanks for helping me. I also forgot, I need to grab my cat from the location you just came from. I go and grab their cat after I'm just helping them with like gathering books, I don't know. And the next minute they're like, oh crap, I know you were just at my house getting my cat, thank you, by the way. But can you go and grab my slippers? Like, I swear this is with any game. It happens. Massive backtracking and running back and forth are typical of older games. I feel like it's typical on any game. There's always games that do it more than others, but I don't know how to say this, but I'm kind of comparing this right now to like Fallen Order or what was it? What did Jedi Survivor? Those were pretty much like backtracking. Like you would backtrack to the same location, have to talk to the same people. Something new would pop up, and then you go somewhere else. I don't know. All quest givers have dementias, right? You can't compare solo games to an MMO and content structure. Okay, well, like, I'm just saying this for all games. Vox. Like, I'm literally just trying to say that. That's why I feel like it's in all games. Like, even modern games. And sure, it's solo, but like, yeah, I can't help that. I don't know what... Are there any MMOs that have come out, like, within the last 2 years that I could take a frame, like, take an example from? I don't even know of any MMO that's come out in, like, 2 years. I have no idea. Like, even SWTOR has this too. SWTOR came out around the same time as LOTRO, sure. So, yeah. Older games, sure. But even in newer games, I feel like it's common. Anyway.
The retaking of Moria is effectively a military operation. You would imagine that efficiency is of utmost importance, but the process for the player is anything but. This bleeds into the strange dichotomy of being a ordinary hero. This yin-yang can feel jarring. One moment, you're slaying beasts of great renown. Then you are suddenly required to sharpen dull blades, or checking a bed for bugs. It would be one degree of annoying if these were entirely optional side quests, yet each example I provided is a mandatory step to continue the main story of LOTRO. I understand that in the journey of returning the One Ring to Mount Doom, that the Fellowship must have done mundane, laborious, and mind-numbing tasks. But those details are even too boring to be in the canonical books. So why include them here? These items by themselves are ultimately minor, yet since you will be completing such quests for as long as you play, you will need to decide if this two-phase storytelling is acceptable. Speaking of dull blades.
That's a good point too. I do have that when I realize that when it comes to like major volume quests, like Moria with the bed bug quests, I love it. But that does happen a lot. I feel like yeah, I kind of wish it was optional, I guess, but I feel like you almost need to do a boring thing when you first get in just to at least get some XP of some kind. I feel like maybe that's why they have it. And just kind of get you more situated with the location when you're first there, but I don't know. I can see his point, though.
Let's turn our attention to itemization. Equipment in LOTRO is entirely standard in the MMO genre. Gear has major and minor traits,
content of a solo
upgrades are
game,
frequent,
true.
and the best equipment is generally acquired by completing group instances. While LOTRO does have a legendary weapon system, it feels like it's better in theory than it is in practice. What currently exists is a rework of an older system that I never experienced, so I lean on veterans to fill in the gaps in the comments. As far as I know,
Please.
The old system required you to level legendary items, and at certain points, you could customize
Oh my gosh! He has footage of this old system. Oh, I think it's because he logged on an old character. Dude, I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I actually miss the old system a lot more in comparison to what we have now. But that's just totally because I understood the old system a lot better than the one that we have now. But the one we have now is actually a lot more convenient. But yeah. I swear to gosh, I just heard someone tap my window. Okay. The old system was horrendous. It was bad, okay? It's bad. But I was familiar with it, so that's the only reason why I'm like, I kind of miss it sometimes. But it was dreadful. Literally, like, every freaking... I swear, you would be leveling, like, all the freaking time. It was a mess.
Stats through various methods. In the new system, your legendary items, while not sharing your level, are tied to your level. So instead of leveling them, you level yourself, and at certain intervals, you can upgrade their level to match yours. Of course, at certain thresholds, additional stats or augments become available for use. The community response to the new system seems to have been met with mixed responses. The older system provided additional depth, yet with more complication, whereas the new system is simpler, yet less inspiring. Both still require leveling, either the weapon itself or your character, so the major change was how improvements to your weapon are governed. Admittedly, this trade-off is entirely subjective, yet the new version has a problem. Legendary weapons, at least starting out, are hardly better than what you normally would have looted through a typical gameplay session.
Yes.
Additionally, in the old system, since you had to level up your weapon, you had some sort of personal attachment to it, like a pet. The new system replaces its journey with your own, severing any emotional ties. Thus, in practice, the
That's
system
fair.
doesn't feel legendary. To add salt to the wound, consider Sting, the elven blade that glowed when orcs were nearby as a result of elven anger infused into the weapon itself. Since orcs are canonically powerful, and if you were adventuring at night or in the deep darkness of caves, this benefit would be immense. Not to mention the rarity of such a blade and the fact that you happen to wield
Oh my
it.
god.
But instead of
Oh my
having this
gosh,
type of
his cosmetic
functionality
pet
tied
was
to
so cute.
legendary weapons, glowing weapons simply exist as a cosmetic overlay. Good for accessibility, but bad for immersion.
There's no
Not to
attachment to
mention
the
that
old
every character must have
allies
a legendary weapon
since you
prior to
dismantle
entering
them.
Moria, so the
Yeah,
reputation
that's
is
true.
far from exotic. Thus, legendary weapons in LOTRO provide little, if any, additional functionality, are inherently common, and have no progression system of their own. Thus, they are legendary in name only, a sad departure from what could be an otherwise excellent opportunity for LOTRO to infuse Tolkien's spirit into its itemization. But even if the equipment system is relatively standard, LOTRO's visual aesthetics are grounded, reasonable, and compelling. Unlike Guild Wars 2's over-the-top particles and fanciful wings worn by adventurers, gear in LOTRO feels part of the world, not out of place.
The old ones
And
were
while
even
the
less
cosmetic
legendary.
system is somewhat wonky, it strikes a nice balance between fashion
Honestly,
and
both
function.
feel the same to me.
Speaking of functionality,
They
let's
drop like
consider
rain.
combat.
You
As
toss
of the
them
most
when you
recent
outlevel.
update,
Yeah.
landscape difficulty options now exist to customize your adventure in
They were
LOTRO's
temporary,
overworld.
basically
If
only
you want to
resources.
relive
Yeah, for sure.
vanilla-like difficulty again, you can do so. Thus, the following comments target the default experience that will hit or miss depending on your selection biases. Overworld content is supremely easy, so much so that I prefer to ignore most of my class's features by turning off the UI and pushing only a few attack buttons. If you
I love doing this, by the way. I don't know if you guys do this a lot, where you turn off the UI and then you just start going in and just hoping that your cooldowns are set at certain times. I love doing this. I do this to record videos. It's so much more like aesthetically pleasing, I guess. I don't know. I feel very much like I'm literally like one person taking on enemies. It's a really cool thing. I recommend you do it.
want your experience to be akin to living in the Shire, yet everywhere in Middle-earth, then the standard experience is perfect for you. But if you want to walk in the dust of Frodo's footsteps, then you will want to turn up the difficulty, because currently there are few reasons to join fellowships or groups in the open world, because the average character may as well be a Valar walking amongst mere mortals. The easy difficulty also removes pressure from gamers to learn some of LOTRO's systems, such as paying attention to dread, the utilization of food, potions, or healing elixirs. These features are inspired by events in the books themselves, so it's disappointing that the game shies away from them. But combat in LOTRO is surprisingly engaging when the game rewards you for leaning into your class's mechanics. For example, the Warden has gambits. These are special abilities that can be triggered after a series of skills in a certain order have been activated. There are gambits for almost any type of situation: DPS, support, tanking.
Okay, this is something I really want to talk about, and this is so picky. I'm so sorry, but I know Marley's probably gonna get the same exact comments I got on my 3 most boring classes in LOTRO. Okay, here's why. Okay, look at his Warden. Okay, look at this. He does 2 hits. He does 2 like basic attacks essentially. He did oh god, I don't remember them on Warden, but he did like the like a long range attack, we'll say, in the shield, and then he like clicked the gambit, what he got from it, like he just did that skill, like, and then people get really upset because you're supposed to use all 5 slots to have like the best outcome on your like skills that you'll get from using your gambits. Here's the thing though, I want to make this super clear. I did the same thing in my video, okay? I only did 2 and then I just used like whatever the gambit gave me at the end. Literally, the reason why I did it, and probably the same reason why he did it here, is because look at the people he is taking out, okay? He's literally on, like, no signature mobs, like, nothing crazy. These are very small, like, mobs, okay? Like, you could get, like, 3 Gambit skills in, like, basically murder them before you could even, like, unleash, like, the major skill of Warden. So, please, I just want to make that clear. Like, I'm sure he knows how the system works to use, like, all 5 slots and to, like, work with the Warden, okay? But with these enemies, you literally would probably slaughter them, and then you're going to have to, like, basically find another enemy within, like, the time that your Gambits will just refresh and start over. It's gonna take a minute. You don't need to use heavy hitters against enemies that don't require them. Yes, that's true too. And like, I feel like if you try to use heavy hitters on enemies that don't require them, you're almost wasting your time. Like, because you're gonna take so much time to build it up, but if they don't need it, yeah, like, what's the point? Yeah. So this is something that people were commenting about on my video that I did, and the reason why, I was like, did you guys look at the mobs? Literally, the mobs are 2 levels below me. I could not go through each of the 5 slots and, like, do this major great Gambit. Like, there was just no way. There was no way. I was not in an area where, like, I was surrounded by mobs anyway, so it's not like I could run around and then use all of my heavy hitter skills or whatever. Yeah, I just want to make that clear. Most enemies would die before you could use the 5-step. Exactly! That is what happened. And that's why when people comment and they're like, you don't know what you're talking about Warden because you didn't do a 5-step, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, because I only needed 2, like, or 3. It's literally 3 clicks. 3 clicks, they're dead. And normally it'd be 2 clicks, just setting up the Gambit sometimes, you know. You can also up landscape difficulty. This is true now. When I made that video back then, I think it was like 2 or 3 months ago, like, I think landscape difficulty, like, just came out, but I'd filmed stuff, like, so long ago. But yes, landscape difficulty can fix that now, but I just want to make that clear, because people are, like, crapping on me on that video. I still get comments about it. I'm like, listen, I couldn't do that. I swear, I know how the basics of Warden work. Sure, I don't know all the advanced technical stuff about it, and I'm still learning the class, 100%, I admit. Like, it's not my go-to class. I don't play it a lot. So there's probably things that a lot of people know about the class that I have no idea. But I'm like, listen, I know how the Gambit system works for the most part. That's all. 4 and 5-step Gambits are beefy enemies. Even signatures aren't tough enough. Yeah, for sure. I'm just trying to say, like, any enemies that have a higher, like, advanced looking rating, I guess. A nicer portrait, we'll say. Yeah, that's all.
Abilities that can be triggered after a series of skills in a certain order have been activated. There are Gambits for almost any type of situation: DPS, support, tanking, and healing. So as long as you know where the trajectory of the battle is going, you can be prepared. Moreover, captains earn bonuses to special skills after they have defeated an enemy. Prolonged battles require strategy, in that you need to time the death of a foe so that it is not wasted during the bonus's cooldown, enabling you to keep riding the wave of increased damage, or healing. I found this flow more important in group-based situations, although time will tell if harder landscape content will encourage the strategic gameplay style. Yet, while the RPG side of the game is not mechanically unique, LOTRO's community is comparatively more vibrant. Seasonal events bring players together to celebrate collectively, including performing plays and, interestingly, performing music, both of which are firmly part of the Tolkien ethos, especially since the books are filled to the brim with singing.
O wanderers in the
Is this
shadowed
true?
land, despair not, for though dark they stand, all woods there
I have to check out the audiobooks, get some songs, you know?
and see the open
Yes.
sun
Okay,
go
I'm
past.
slacking.
The setting sun, the rising sun, for days and
10 out
all
of
the
10
day
vocals.
begun. For east or west all woods must fail.
It's this preeminence of the Tolkien ethos that makes Lord of the Rings Online so unique. No, it's not its combat, it's not its gearing systems, or even its approach to quests. Instead, it's everything besides its genre that has enabled it to withstand the test of time, despite being old enough to drive. It's LOTRO's commitment to embodying Tolkien. This explains why LOTRO is likely not
You're not
under
a fan of
any real
narration
threat
by
from the
means of
newly
songs?
announced Amazon
That's what
produced
Disney
Lord of the
does.
Rings
Oh
contingent.
yeah.
In an interview with Games Industry, Amazon Games Vice President Christoph Hartmann said, and I quote, "I definitely want to put the game first to make sure it's a great game. Because, as I said, we want people to play for 10 years. And it's not going to help me if someone is saying that's a perfect representation of the book of the game. If you're really into that, read the book. Read it another 5 times. Otherwise, if it's a game has to do with playing, and they have to be playful, so there needs to be a little bit of being able to bend the rules to make it a great game." Ironically,
Did he say that about the new Amazon MMO of Lord of the Rings? He said, I don't want people to base it off the books, because if you want it to be about the books, just go read the books. Oh my god.
the very features Hartman is going to avoid are
Tom
the reasons why
Bombadil
LOTRO
saved Merry and
continues to
Pippin
be a success.
by singing it
While
to
I
sleep.
do hope for
Old
an
Man Willow.
enjoyable Lord of the Rings MMO from Amazon, I strongly doubt it will feel as Tolkien as Lord of the Rings Online. So you may be wondering if Lord of the Rings Online is a good fit for you. If you are a returning player, they are working on a stat squish that will make numbers in combat far less outrageously high. A point that you can feel even now as a newbie dealing over 1,000 points of damage. Of course, there are
Whatever.
140 levels of content to enjoy, stretching from the
That's
festive
not
hills of
high.
the Shire to the foreboding dark skies of Mordor. As a new player, there are unique tutorials based on the race you play, similar to Dragon Age introductions. However, the free options are either dated or poorly constructed, both of which I covered in my prior overview of Lord of the Rings Online. With that said, if you are willing to spend around $20 to purchase the recently released Before the Shadow mini expansion, the newbie experience presented here is far better. In fact, I lament that this isn't given for free to new players, as it is an excellent introduction to the MMORPG.
I even taught them
in
a song to sing
2023.
if they ever
One
need
issue
his
I
help.
highlighted in my former
Ooh,
video
nice.
was how voiceovers in the tutorials did not align with the first line of text. That added confusion when trying to follow what was being spoken versus what was written on your screen.
Huh? Wait. He said, "My dearest friend."
Sauron surely knows the mastery is ours in this battle.
I've never heard anyone comment about this, and I never had an issue with this myself, but yeah, sometimes the voiceover people, they'll say something that isn't the first line of the quest. Like here, for instance, they actually took the last line of this quest, but I never had an issue with that. I don't know if you guys have an issue with that or what. There are instances of sloppy. We must overlook it.
I appreciate the voice acting, yet the reception is slightly jarring because only the third sentence is spoken. In the new content,
Oh, yeah.
the voice acting properly overlaps with the first lines, making it far easier to enjoy the experience.
Wait, I'm sorry too. I don't think Marley realizes, but he literally took the High Elf tutorial and compared it to the new tutorial. But the High Elf, like this new Before the Shadow tutorial, but the High Elf tutorial actually is like the most recent Before the Shadow tutorial. So I don't know. I think he might have been confused maybe, or I don't know, but I don't know. I just sort of put that out there. I don't know. I don't have a problem with the voice actors saying a line that's not the first thing. But that's just me. Stout axes after High Elf. Yeah, sorry. One or the other. Okay, High Elf is what? Now the third most updated, we'll say. Intros could use a refresher though. I mean, sure. I don't know. I don't have an issue with them. But let me know.
He spends more time fixing horseshoes than he does forging swords.
The new zones are gorgeous
Used to call him
and
to get
represent how
them to
good
save
Lord of the
barrel
Rings
wipes.
Online can look despite its age. considering the landscape difficulty adjustments and the upcoming stats
Use another
push,
song to
not
revive
mention a
Mary,
new
Pippin,
quest,
and Sam.
Lord of the Rings Online is in a great place to either return or begin anew. Since it's free to play, and since playing grants premium currency, you are also able to play, not only pay to play. And for those who watched my Dungeons & Dragons video, I am sorry. That title too has a similar monetization model that I failed to understand accurately. Fortunately, Standing Stone Games also frequently releases codes to unlock massive amounts of content for free. And as far as I know, completing a certain introductory quest now unlocks the ability to ride a horse, a feature originally hidden behind a paywall. So in terms of accessibility, I don't think there's ever been a better time than now to play Lord of the Rings Online. And just as the Fellowship shared honest dialogue about the highs and lows of their epic travels, I am pleased to present my interview with Aubrey the Weird One, a player since Vanilla LOTRO who has much to say about the state of the game. She regularly streams on Twitch and publishes content on YouTube, so please check out her content. Much thanks to her, and I hope you enjoy our conversation. Well, thank you again for carving out time within your busy professional schedule to have a chat. Something I've learned in my journey
I'm terrified
in content
now.
creation, especially when I'm
rewriting as a 10. Okay, yes. Okay, real quick. The oh my gosh. I was so shocked when I made a free to play account, and then now you actually get one new on your account, your first character you make, or whoever you make, honestly. Whoever gets through the tutorial first, they actually have access that they can get a one-time use of a free mount and a free riding skill. I'm like, that is so impressive. Like, the riding skill doesn't cost much, but it's nice that you get a mount with it. Now, granted, the mount kind of hella sucks, but I will take it. But yeah, the free riding is superb, and I do agree with Marle that yes, 100%, this is probably the best time to ever get into LOTRO because the shit is so free lately. Sorry for cursing. It's literally free, like, a lot. There's so many discounts going on. You literally don't even have to worry about buying quest packs or expansions to like 90 something or level 100 something, which is literally hours and hours and hours, tons of hours worth of gameplay. And yeah, like, they're just making everything so easy now. So that's all. I'll finally... I'm nervous now. I feel like you guys are gonna really like come at me because I was not prepared. So yeah, an
MMO that isn't my main. I'm often making observations from
your dad texts me to put $1
as a
in that
non-native, like an immigrant almost. And
I don't have
so
$1.
I would love
you take a gift card?
Understand LOTRO better from your perspective.
Yeah, so thanks for having me here, by the way. This is awesome. Just wanted to say that.
Thank you.
Yeah, so a little bit about me. I'm Aubrey the Weird One. I actually started streaming on Twitch about 2 years ago, and
cool.
I was kind of playing like a little bit of anything, variety. I did play a good amount of LOTRO, so I did get like a good community kind of started from playing LOTRO, so I just kind of kept playing it on Twitch. So it was a lot of fun. However, I started playing Lord of the Rings Online about ever since it came out. So I've been playing for several years.
Vanilla?
Yeah, like so.
Are you serious?
According.
That's awesome. I never got to. I was playing like, original EverQuest and
like the music stuff.
Chinese MMOs that came out about that time. That's one of my big regrets. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I'm
you're
envious of your history.
No, I love hearing about this. Yeah, so this is the story according to my father. Spoiler alert, my family and I really played LOTRO together. It was the first game I ever played, so I was very young. Yeah. Yes. I was like 6 years old. But now it's crushed my soul.
That is awesome.
Yeah, it was.
We'll talk about that.
It was like the first game ever. So I just gravitated towards it because it was just like that first game I ever played, so I had to keep playing it. Okay, I want to make it super clear. I don't know if LOTRO was the first game I ever played. It's either LOTRO or it's Tomb Raider. I can't remember. Either way, LOTRO was my first MMO. That's for certain. But I think LOTRO is like my first game I ever played. On PC anyway. I really think it is. I can't remember. Because my dad introduced me to 2 games at the same time. And it was Tomb Raider Legend and LOTRO. You could hear the nervousness of it. I thought I was okay. I thought I was good. It's okay. You know, I think one thing I didn't like was that I said or like so a lot, which I think I've gotten a lot better with after filming a lot more videos, but yeah. Anyway, it's a little awkward listening to, but it's okay. Right?
Oh, of course. No, I understand that. Yeah, my first game was very different.
Also, don't worry, I'm gonna get like a little more aggressive with what I'm saying when we talk about Amazon MMO Lord of the Rings, because literally when we filmed this, it was like 3 days right after like Amazon announced that thing, and I was like, let me say my piece. Like, I don't know how much Marley cut out, but I was like, listen.
Different.
Yeah.
But that's, especially it being a family centered experience, that's so cool.
Yeah, it's awesome. According to my father, my uncle was one of like the testers for LOTRO, like before even like the beta
Really?
came out or anything.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Yes. I got confirmation on this. My uncle he had an exclusive code, and literally he asked to get my father a part of LOTRO, like to test it, and they were like, no. So what my uncle did was literally gave the code that he had to my dad so my dad could play it. And then that's how I got started in playing it, because I played under my uncle's code that he gave to my dad. Yeah. Aubrey's uncle was an OG. Dude, my uncle was like a hella beta tester for like every game. Like, he is a gamer. Like, he is the most gamer I've ever met. And it was crazy because like he had like 4 monitors. Like, this is early 2000s, okay? He had like 4 freaking monitors, like gaming. He's got like crap up on the one. He's like working on the top second one, and then like he was playing games, and it was crazy. So yeah, my uncle was an OG. Uncle Mike, OG. So my dad always played under my uncle's account because he had to use a special code. So my dad got really into it. Yeah, and then I got really into it because I always watched my father play. And I essentially made an account under my father's account because I was, you know, 6. So I couldn't. I made a character, is what I mean. Yeah.
Yep.
So I was 6 years old when I played LOTRO. I got my first like gaming PC. I think it was like 9. So yeah, it was my father, my grandmother, and my uncle. I was not 9. I was not 9 when I got a gaming PC. But what I mean by that is I had a Dell PC when I was 9 that was given to me, and I put a graphics card in it. Like, do some group content and such. And now it's kind of just me, and I've kind of carried the torch for how many years the game has been strong. Out, like 16 years now.
Yeah,
so.
I think somewhat recently. I suppose there's in-game celebration still going on for the 16th anniversary. Is that correct?
Yeah, they actually just wrapped it up, unfortunately, but...
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, I was getting special...
Yeah, this was April, if you can't tell.
Like, I don't know, 50 mob kills or something. I still don't know where to turn them in, but...
Yeah, oh, well, I guess you gotta hold on to them next year, unfortunately, but...
Yeah, sure. Now, what's interesting is, well, there's a number of fascinating things you just talked about, but you said that early when LOTRO was released, you were doing group content. Now... Yeah. Was that when overworld content was balanced for groups in the open world, or were there instance content as well? Yeah, so we only did like instances. Like, I never did raids. I still have never raided in LOTRO ever to this day. So never. No, I'm a little bit behind. Same club.
Cool. Awesome. I'm not alone. But yeah, we always did like instances or skirmishes. So it was kind of like we had like 3 or 4 people, and then we just got into an instance and played along. It was fun.
Gotcha. Now, do you recall the game being more difficult back then, or was it simply different?
It was definitely a lot more difficult back then. I don't know what like reworks they've done necessarily to know like when it got more difficult, like when it got easier to kind of grind it, but it's definitely, I've died a lot more back then than I do now. This was a hard question because I can't remember the flip. Like, it's hard because I basically I didn't do really any group content besides with my family, and we just did quests. I remember I would play occasionally with my dad's account. He had friends that he raided with, And I remember the raids being difficult as heck. Like, I remember they'd be lucky if they completed one full raid. But I also don't know what, like, stats they had or, like, how difficult they turned it up. I don't know. So that's why I'm like, I don't know. But I think it's definitely gotten a lot easier over the times. But I could be wrong. I don't know what you guys think on that. But I just definitely feel like LOTRO... that's the thing too. I don't know when the switch happened because I feel like I was on off on LOTRO throughout my time. I don't know when the switch happened where it was like, all right, this game seems significantly easier. It was probably like, I would probably say probably around like 2014, or maybe it was whenever Standing Stone bought Turbine, but I feel like it got significantly easier somewhere past the 5-year mark. But I don't know how you guys feel about that or if you agree or what.
Sure, that's interesting. So have you played any of the, I think they're called legendary servers with the difficulty slider?
No.
If so, has that brought back any of the nostalgia at all, or have you not touched any of those features?
So I haven't tried it out yet, but I think I think the new legendary servers that they have, like Treebeard, that's around now with those landscaping difficulties and stuff, I think they're a little too difficult in comparison to the past of how it was. I agree. I think that this is a hot take. I do think that the new landscape difficulty is harder than what it was. Okay, what I mean by that though is like the hardest of landscape difficulties. I really truly do. I 100% agree with my statement. Okay. Like, you don't have to worry about no Sauron's eye underneath your freaking feet and trying to dodge them in the earlier days. Like, I don't know. I feel like the landscape difficult slider is just so extreme at the top of it, like the +10 or whatever now. Yeah, I just think it's a little too high now in comparison to how it was. I really do. Because, like, if you're on Deadly +6 in the legendary servers, like, I don't know how you guys are walking around. Like, you literally have to tiptoe around mobs. I don't remember that ever being the case. How many people even raise the difficulty? That's my question, okay? I see streamers like Narufin, who's like on Deadly +6 on the legendary server, and he's just like tiptoeing. Okay, I don't know how anyone would play that. Like, I feel like he plays it because maybe it's because he's streaming. I don't know. Content? I don't know. Is it really harder? Is it more that you no longer have the patience to deal with slugfest? Maybe. I think it's harder though. I think it is harder because I never remembered in the early days where I would have to like tiptoe around mobs to like basically not aggro them. And if you aggro 2 or more, you were like insta dead. Like maybe with minstrels or like burglars, lighter armored characters, I guess, or like burglars, for example, if you were caught, as we say, with your pants down, which essentially means like you weren't in stealth, or you were caught like midway out of stealth, literally, then yeah, like you probably die. But I don't know. You only need fearless tier 3 for tokens or tile. Yeah, that's true, which I feel like most people are probably doing. But I think these extreme landscape difficulties are definitely a lot harder than the earlier days. It's not just the slugfest stuff will legit kill you, dude. I've just seen Naru. Okay, I'm taking this off of Narufin's stream. Okay, I remember watching this dude. He's like in freaking Angmar, just tiptoeing around these whites, and like he's like, if I aggro one, like I'm literally 2 hits, I'm dead. And I'm like, dude, there's no way. And he was like, I had to make a captain because my pet can aggro everything. My pet will be my tank, and if they die, I'm getting the frick out. And I was like, this was never the case. So that's what I mean by that. Yeah, because like I see people who are on like +6, like Deadly, and like you can't walk around without like essentially having to strategically think about how you're going to like attack this mob, and like you can't take on like more than 2 enemies. And back then it was like you could take on 2, but you had to be like a guardian. You couldn't be like a light armored class, like a minstrel, like trying to take on 2 enemies back then. But no way.
Interesting. So you
that's the thing. Extreme difficult doesn't make you better. It makes you more conservative.
Was balanced back.
I know. I think that's the thing too. Is like people. There are people out there that are like, okay, I must be on the hardest difficulty because then I'm like proving myself or whatever as a gamer. I guess, but that's not the case. But yeah, to each their own, I guess, on the landscape difficulty. I'm good without landscape difficulty. I'm on +1 on the new landscape difficulty slider that they have out, and I do not really care that much for it. I really don't. I don't understand how anyone's on +3 and above. That's some crazy stuff, y'all. Birds out of stealth without the sneak attack were always weak. Yeah. I feel like back in the day, though, like, they were terrible. Like, if you were not in stealth and you did not stab someone in the back or hit them behind, you would probably die. Like, I remember that because I used to play a burglar for a second there, and that's why I stopped playing, because I could never, they would always hear me before I could get behind them. And I remember my dad would always be mad. He's like, get behind them and just hit them. And I'm like, I'm working on it, Dad, but they keep finding me, okay? Like, they keep saying me, they hear you. So I just didn't like burglar. But I remember I would die a lot from them. If I could not get behind them in time, or if I waited too long, they would just hear you and then just start attacking you. You could win one-on-one, but on highest landscape out of stealth, you are not winning. Oh, hell no. Not in today's world with the landscape difficulty. There'd be no way you'd be winning. But back in those days, I feel like it was tough, but not as tough as today.
Then, of course, kind of looking back in the corridors of our memories.
Right, yeah.
Interesting. Okay, no, that's fascinating, because I know, I wouldn't say, well, the little bit that I've read is
I feel
the
like
community, I wouldn't say
detection was better back then too. It was.
Yeah.
It was a lot more.
Opinions of various intensities about overworld difficulty. Some people love that it is currently very accessible, and others fondly remember it being more difficult, and as a result of it being more difficult, it was naturally maybe a bit more social, and perhaps there's some kind of relational components that people would like to maybe more naturally group in the open world. I
don't agree with that statement either, by the way. Like, do you guys, I want your opinion on this, but do you guys feel like because of the landscape difficulty sliders now that you feel like it does force you to more group up with people and play, or not? Like, I never grouped up with people when playing LOTRO, even in the earlier days, hardly. Just because of my age. Like, my dad would not let me do it because, you know, people on the internet, but I legit was like, I was never really into it. I see that there are 2 types of difficulty, one that makes you feel like you achieved something, and then the others that make you think, thank God it's over. Yeah. Oh, yeah, maybe I should have said that, the distinction, like, so the one difficult, like, I feel like back in the earlier LOTRO days, it was that good feeling of, all right, it's difficult, but yeah, I've achieved it, it's taken a couple of different tries, but it was possible. But now, like, this +10 whatever landscape difficulty slider, hell no. No way. Aubrey loves pulling like 15 mobs on her RK and AoEing them. I do. Which was not a thing way back then. It was definitely not a thing. Dude, I would be... I remember I grabbed like 3 mobs on my minstrel. It would be over in the earlier days. I remember when I did that once and it went sideways.
In terms of your own playing, how frequent do open world groups occur? Or is that mainly for the
fearless difficulty gives you a +20% XP buff? They don't find it a chore.
That's a good question. I don't know if I can necessarily answer because I don't really focus too much on like open world, like any of that like grouping content anymore necessarily now. But back then I do feel like because of like the difficulties back then, you were like heavily involved with more like raids and
you were heavily
content just to kind of get through like doing some of the open world stuff. So
I do feel, I guess that's what I should say. I do feel like people did gravitate towards grouping more back in those days because of the difficulty, but I didn't think that because the difficulty itself was the reason for that. I just thought people were new to the game and they wanted to make more friends and they wanted to experience that grouping content because that was like the major thing back then. I feel like every MMO back then was all about groups and raids and dungeons.
That's just my opinion, that I do feel like back then it was almost like, yeah, kind of doing more open world group content was more like pushed, I guess. In comparison to now where you can solo this game easily. I mean, I do it all the time now and I have no issues.
Oh, for sure. Recently, I've been turning
more or
my
less a
UI
guerrilla
off,
fighter, but I'm not interested in
which is
every
like,
fight
there's
being a
couple
life or
buttons
death
I can
matter.
push. Now,
Not when
every
combat
once
is
in a while,
frequent,
if
right?
see
I
that
agree.
there's, what are they called? There's a deed.
I feel like
for
if you
the
do-
named creatures in a given area.
If you do
that
not have a
get,
kinship,
so
LOTRO is
if
a
I
solo
see
game.
one of them, then
Not
I'll
just
toggle it
landscape.
back on and kind of.
Yeah, or this. Okay, good way to put it. Yeah, if you have a kinship and LOTRO, I do feel like then it is more like a grouping thing, but without it, it is more of a solo game.
I have to think through it.
Right.
But no, yeah.
And
But
I think the
understand
kinships
there's
are the
also a
major
benefit
part of it.
The game being more accessible and it being more your character engaging with sort of the beauty of the world building, opposed to every second you're
Oh my
having to
gosh,
think
I'm sorry
tactically.
guys,
So
I need to stop pausing
I
as
can
much.
also see it from that side as well.
Yeah, for sure. It was definitely. I feel like this game is almost completely different now, and I don't know if that's when Standing Stone Games took over instead of like Turbine, because Turbine had it up until a certain year.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think I almost with Standing Stone, it almost
Marley's
got
like,
a
we
little
get it.
easier in some ways, though. They've actually like.
I didn't realize
put
how
on a
nervous
lot
I was.
new,
Wow.
like a lot more new expansions and stuff, and like there's so many changes to the game that are good. But with Turbine, I definitely felt like it was different. Like it was a little more difficult, more groupy content. So yeah.
It was.
Interesting.
I do miss
must
Turbine
have
some days.
dipped my toes in occasionally under Turbine, but I think most of my playtime has been under Standing Stones. Now, you did mention
Yes.
there have been changes to the game that you do like, especially under Standing Stones. Do any of those changes immediately come to mind?
I think I'm gonna mention the virtue traits right now.
The number one change that's been fantastic, and I'm so glad they did this, which I believe Standing Stone put this into effect. Maybe Turbine did, but
Yeah.
I believe that it was Standing Stone that made it.
I guess I should have mentioned that Standing Stone. What I should have said is like Standing Stone became like the like main developer credit at a certain time over Turbine, because like I do know now that like Standing Stone is they were associated with Turbine throughout the whole gaming process, but then Turbine kind of took a step back, and that's what I refer to.
That the traits, because every class has like traits, virtues that you have to get in the game,
Yep,
which
the
you
traits.
would get from like
I knew
deeds,
it.
but back Turbine, like back when they had it,
And I totally want to make this clear. I have no idea if this is when like the switch happened, when the virtue trait thing switched. It could have been with Turbine was like the major developer getting all the credit back then, but literally I don't remember. I couldn't remember doing this. It's not like I could have researched stuff while I'm talking. Like, but I will say the traits were like awesome. Turbine didn't step back. They didn't want to run the game anymore since they wanted to move into yeah, that's what I mean. Like they basically like they took a step back away from the game. Like they're not I guess I shouldn't say that. Okay, they just weren't associated. They're not associated with it really anymore. Even though they technically like kind of can be. I don't know their contracts. Now the virtue thing happened way after the Turbine Standing Stone game transition. Yeah, wait, did it happen like when Turbine was still like the main player, or when you mean Standing Stone game? Let's look this up. Let's look this up. Because I want to see. Okay, yeah, the virtue system had changed in 2019. Damn, it was in 2019 when that switch happened. There's no way. There's no way. Turbine took all the stuff that didn't work on LOTRO with them and turned the LOTRO staff into a separate entity so that they could sell it off to Daybreak.
They had it set up that
what you said,
your Slayer deed,
boss.
so like say you have like to kill 40 slugs in the Shire, and then you have to
I just want to say though, this virtue switch 100% best part of LOTRO, the best change that's ever happened. Shira, hello Aubrey and everyone, how's it going? We're doing well today. Hey Batman, how's it going? Alright, I'll give you a weird hydrate and I'll do a posture check in a second. Thanks for the weird hydrate, Batman. But yeah, it's going good. Shira, we're reviewing a video that I was asked to do. So we're doing a little watch party. So if you want to join in, grab some snacks, you know what I'm saying? All right, I guess I should posture check. Ugh, okay, I keep trying to move my chair. I need a new chair. And I need to like better like fix. I have a rug, so like my chair's always hitting my rug, and it's just like, hell yeah. I don't think it can really be called a Standing Stone game innovation. Turbine probably would have done it anyway. Well, yeah, I know. For sure. I mean, probably Turbine would have done so many things that Standing Stone Games has already, like, changed or whatever, and Turbine just didn't have the opportunity at the time. But, yeah, I just wanted to mention, like, that change, I guess.
To do the advanced version of that. Then when you did the advanced version of that deed, that's when you would get, like, a certain virtue trait that would hopefully go with your class. But if it didn't go with your class, like if it didn't have stats that you needed, like might, then you essentially would have to go find another Slayer deed and like hope that you were like picking the right Slayer deeds that could help you. And then you'd have to that. Yeah, it was kind of, because you could always look.
It wasn't randomized. I don't know what I'm talking about. It was like, it was the fact of when you had a Slayer deed when you started, like it's the same process where you had to like start killing a mob. In this example, we'll just say like, we'll say I had to kill wolves in the Shire. Okay, I had to kill like 30 of them, and then once you get through the basics of it, then only then, when you're on the advanced portion, could you see your reward for that, which is still the case today. But literally, if your advanced version and your like reward for that, it would show you your virtue that you would get like a level on, I guess. Literally, if that virtue was not what you needed, like you had to basically get to advanced portions of all the deeds in order to know if that was a virtue that you needed. Like it was terrible. So you literally would have to kill like 30 Shire wolves, and then once you get the 1 through 60 advanced, only then would you say, oh, is this a trait that I need or a virtue that I need? It sucked. Unless there was something I never knew. Nothing random. Specific deeds are associated with specific virtue. Yes. I'm clarifying that. Having to do certain deeds for certain traits was so annoying. Yeah, that's the way to phrase it. Doing certain deeds for certain traits. I hated that. Really glad it's not like that. Me too, Goldwyn. Me too.
Look at like what the reward would be
Sure.
for whatever deed you have, but like if you don't have the advanced deed, you don't know what your reward will be until you get to the advanced deed.
Yeah.
So you'd have to grind to at least the advanced deed in hope that it's relevant.
Yes.
Right, yep. And then some of them, it kind of sucked. For the light armor characters, from my perspective, I saw a lot that they had all the exploration deeds. So like, it was so easy for minstrels, rune keepers, lore masters. They just had to go out and like find certain areas in a region, and then they would get their trait. But like,
yes, did anyone else notice that back in the day with those deeds that literally like all the stuff that you need, like the will bonus, like virtues, legit, those were always tied with the exploration deeds, more or less. Like it was always the exploration. There'd be like a couple of slayers maybe, but like the heavy like champions and guardians, all of those might driven like virtue traits are always in slayers. They were always in slayers. Like it'd be so very, very few times when an exploration deed be associated with a might trait. Like it was terrible. Like once the virtues would trail behind because you didn't have the level to complete the required deeds to level them. Yeah, that was the problem too. I'm glad you mentioned that, and I don't think we really mentioned that either, but that was an issue too, because I do remember, like, I went on a path, I guess. I went on a journey to essentially max out my virtues, and literally, I was at my 100 minstrel, and then that was my goal after I hit the max at the time of level 100. I wanted to max out a virtue that was important to me, but I literally had like half of them, and I could not find the other halves, and it was because of areas I had not been in. And like, granted, I was level 100, so like I could always backtrack, but for other characters who are still grinding, like there would be virtues I could not get to, like, so it kind of pushes you back. What LOTRO Live World server am I on? Batman, I'm basically on all of them. I mostly main Crick Hollow. My home server will say that I've been on for several years, but I don't really play anymore as Gladden. Yeah. So we'll say Crick Hollow for now.
Like for champions and guardians, they had to do all the like advanced slayers, and those took hours.
Yes.
Interesting. It kind of reminds me. I don't know if you ever played Star Wars Galaxies, the MMO, but
no.
early on, if
I need to.
In order to unlock Jedi, or at least like the ability to level into it, each account had its own random seed for which skills you had to level into, or it was something along those lines.
That's
so
insane.
That's a more example,
that sounds
but I can
terrible.
Still imagine the.
If you're OCD about doing the Expo Slayers in the area,
I know for me, if I'm I like
stay up.
Character building. If I have a specific build,
I'm sorry, I'm stressing to read this or whatever.
Tell me early on how to get there.
Stay pretty up to date on virtues now. Yeah,
right.
But
mostly on Crick Hollow too. Also on a lot of ignore lists. I see.
In fact, I think it was. I was playing.
Yeah, Crick Hollow is awesome. I love it.
In fact, and there was a deed. I'm playing a human captain, and there was a trait. I believe I'm still learning the terminology that I had to kill a certain amount of words, and I forget whatever the stat was. But to your point, I knew ahead of time how to get it and what the reward was going to be, so I could make the choice as a player whether or not I, wanted to make that trade-off.
Yes, it's so nice now that all the deeds just give you 2,000 virtue XP, so you can literally just tap whatever virtue you want to earn and you're set.
Right.
So
I could only
lovely.
imagine if it was
I love it.
You spend
we are spoiled for that.
Sessions doing this, and you realize this is going in the wrong direction for your preference.
Right.
So that's awesome. Any other features that come to mind in terms of recent either like developmental priorities or content or combat adjustments that you've really enjoyed compared to how you recall and remember and experienced LOTRO in the past?
This is a hard question for me too.
Well, combat-wise, it's changed a lot. That's something I never really followed. Honestly,
Where's the captions?
Which is kind of funny because I feel like it's super important.
BRB, no
but I always
problem,
played and I would just
old
click
system had
buttons
you
and hope
leveling
I
a lot
wouldn't
of
die, but
virtues
now
you didn't
lately I've
need.
been getting more involved with like, all right, this is what stats are. I need to know this stuff.
Sure.
So,
yeah.
That's mostly how my playstyle was for several years. But the combat definitely has changed. It's a lot. I think it's just a lot more. I think there are less skills that are. It's not that.
Yes, I think that this is a thing. Correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like there are less skills now in comparison to way back when, which I know that they've tried to like change and do more so recently, because there was a time where they were like, okay, we're gonna try to do consoles. I don't know if they're still doing that or not, but I do feel like there are less skills, but I could be wrong. I can't remember.
That easy to pick up anymore, I guess, to kind of understand that there are less skills. Like if I pulled up like an old screen of my old character back when Turbine had LOTRO, like back in the early days, I feel like there was a lot more skills than there are now, and I like that there's less to learn because of that.
But I do like that there's less to learn. Less to click.
It makes things a little too easy now. So it's a mixed bag.
Kind of does.
In terms of like skills do more and
okay,
interesting.
I feel like there would be like separate skills.
Not really less skills. Enemies die faster. You cycle through less of them.
Skills have like multiple different like buffs.
I think what I'm trying to refer to is like captains and champions and guardians. I remember my old guardians. You know what? I think what it is, I think what changed and what I might be referring to is the class trait trees. When those started, I feel like that the skills you started out with, definitely like you earn less skills when you first start, I guess what I mean. Like I remember back in the day when I would play on, we'll say a champion. I remember I would get actually maybe not. We'll say a captain. I feel like I would hit like level 5 and I would have probably about like 8 skills. And now I feel like you'd only get about like 5, 6 maybe. And I'm trying to remember if that's correct or accurate, but I do feel like you earn less when you're right off the bat anyway. And I think the reason for that too also is because the class trait trees. And I feel like when you're more specialized in a certain section, that maybe that's why you get less skills, because there were like pretty widespread skills that would help you with almost everything. And yeah, like I guess another example that is more one that I've actually played more so is like Runekeeper. I remember the runestone was very different back then. And now it's like you have to pick a specialization in order to even get a runestone, which is crazy to me. But not only that, your runestone's actually pretty limited in comparison to how it was before. Like, I feel like there was more skills centered towards your runestone, particularly and how you utilized it. But now it's like, okay, well, you're utilizing it under the red tier, so therefore it's more fire damage, DOT. Yeah. Ask yourself how efficient or useful was it having 4 full bars of 12 skills? Well, yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, I'm just trying to say that, like, that's cool. But I just mean generally, just as, like, another positive thing that sort of happened is, yeah, like, they did add less skills, but I do feel like that changed some of the gameplay, like, combat, I guess.
Or they just have way too many, like...
We're still far from having an ESO, like, skill.
Like, buffs, apparently.
Or interactions,
you know what I mean?
or different ways you could layer effects. And,
dude, there were so many buffs on Captain in comparison to now, I believe.
Because I remember early in my Captain's experience, and I was trying to pay attention to game balance. And my auto attack at the time, I think, was doing only 10% of what my direct damage melee attack could do.
Yeah.
And so now this was still early on, but it kind of gave me a signal as to where the balance was heading. Now, I have a 105 Warden, but admittedly I used one of the leveling,
like the Valor
items. Yeah, I used one of them. I think I got it last year.
Okay. I just read a comment where I'm like,
but I wanted to play from the beginning, so I rolled like this Captain, and I forget, I must have been like level 10, and I was already doing like 1,000 damage with one of the melee skills, and I thought that was interesting in comparison with I don't know, maybe 75 per auto attack. So I see what you mean in terms of one skill being able to, perhaps compared to the past, this one DD is worth 2 or 3 skills versus it by itself right now, right? Yep.
Yeah, I'm really going based off of memory when I say this, but I do think that was the case for sure. I feel like they've dropped a couple of skills with some of the reworks that they've done in the future.
Yeah, and part of me doesn't mind fewer number of skills as long as the interactions remain interesting. Like,
yes.
I think of early EverQuest. I don't know if you...
I agree with this, but I also feel like it makes the game easier with less skills.
Ever played.
Take it from someone who never even studied any of the stats. I literally was just clicking buttons, and then sometimes those buttons would actually get me killed. But now, like, some of those buttons are, since there's less buttons, it's actually a higher chance now that you can just click around and probably have a better outcome.
Early EverQuest, or like the private servers, like Project 1999, or there's an Alcabor. But anyways, like,
more skills doesn't mean more complex if you have duplicates or a lot of overlap.
Only slot 8,
for sure.
I believe 8 or 9 spells, and those were your skills. Similar to Guild Wars 1, actually. Did you ever play Guild Wars 1?
No, I haven't played a lot of other.
I really haven't played a lot of other MMOs.
Honestly, it's only been like Star Wars: The Old Republic and Lord of the Rings online.
Yes.
No, that's fine. I'm trying to think if
it.
there's Star Wars. I guess is fairly close to Lord of the Rings. There's like
it is
like at max level. There's about like 20 or so skills or something based off my memory. They're
Dude, SWTOR and LOTRO are pretty much the same on their skills too. 100%. I don't know what other MMOs are doing. I'm trying to think. Grim Dawn, I feel like I had, God, how many skills did I have? I feel like I only had like the same, like 10 to cycle from. I could be so incorrect on this. And I'm trying to think with shit, what's it called? The Amazon MMO that I really like. Lost Ark. I feel like there was like 10 or so. if I'm not mistaken. Or was it 3? I don't know. I can't remember. But yeah, I don't know how other MMOs work.
There wasn't too many.
And
but it's
Grimdawn, the more
interesting
active
thinking
skills you
that,
have, the weaker they
with
are.
these
Really?
classic titles, and
Crazy.
they had far.
I think I only had
fewer
about. I always use like the same
skills
6. I
to
think
click,
it was always like
but
6.
each interaction was really, really important, and
Right.
so whether or not you chose to use this skill versus one of the other 7 really, really made a difference. Versus spreading out, 8 skills and then now into 25 or maybe 30. It's just been interesting to see how the genre has evolved. Something I want to circle back to. You mentioned one reason why you cover LOTRO is partially legacy and nostalgia, which is completely valid. Like, still, to my favorite, or to this day, my favorite MMO to play is early EverQuest. I have covered it briefly on my channel. It takes so much time to do anything, though.
Heck
so
yeah, man, I
there's,
feel
like, this
it.
practical side that it's. I'm trying to figure out how to balance that. But anyways, in terms of other titles that
One thing I enjoy in Guild Wars 2 are skill sets are bound to which weapons you use. Oh, you don't have the entire gameplay SWTOR on YouTube, do you?
Why do you enjoy covering?
I would definitely look at them. I'm sorry for my bad sentence if there are some errors. Oh, no problem, Shiro. I don't have the entire gameplay SWTOR on YouTube, no. I mean, I play SWTOR from time to time. I haven't played it in a while. I mean, I actually just had a stream last week where I played SWTOR. But yeah, not really on YouTube yet. I'm slowly starting to integrate. I can't speak. I'm slowly starting to basically put on some more SWTOR based videos on YouTube. I will mention too, since we're talking about SWTOR, I read this comment on YouTube where this person says that on my video I mentioned about how you basically have to buy things using the cartel market. There's really no way around it. And then this person basically said that that's a fair thing to say. However, I kind of disregarded the Galactic Network and which is like the auction hall, and how you can actually buy things from the cartel market off of that using credits because they can put it in the Galactic Network. The problem with that, though, and why I didn't include that is because and how this comment that I was responding to this person was because there's a credit cap on SWTOR. It might not be anymore because I haven't played it in so long, but there was always a credit cap I was hit, and it was probably about 300,000 credits, if I'm not mistaken, on my preferred account. But like everything that you would have to buy from the cartel market and you would put on the Galactic Network, if that's even possible, I really don't remember that. But no, that is possible because that's how I bought some like lightsaber colors. But the problem with that, though, is that those people typically will like super like overly price it because that's just how any game is with auction halls. And legit, you cannot purchase anything off of it because of the cap. So I was just like, this is interesting. This is an interesting comment. Like, I don't know, like, yeah, like they're right. And I didn't mention it, which is for sure correct. When I probably should have, but I do want to say, like, the credit cap on SWTOR sucks. And I don't think there's a cap on LOTRO anymore. There used to be.
Covering LOTRO, in addition to your history with the game.
Well, I don't know how to say this
music
without
culture.
being a little mean sounding, but Star Wars: The Old
What am I gonna
Republic,
say?
the fan base is a little too aggressive sometimes for my.
I said it. I'm gonna say it super loud. Star Wars fan base people, I love you. I'm a huge Star Wars nerd, but I have been so tired of Star Wars based games because of the toxicity within the community. It drives me, it literally drives me off games because I just can't handle it. Cap is still there, 999. Okay, so wait, you said 9,000 gold? 999 silver per character? Or is it just 900? Or is it 9 gold? Dude. If it's 9,900 199 gold is the cap. I've never had that much gold in my life. That's crazy. Make it 10k gold minus 1 silver. Okay, I got you. So 9,900 gold. That's crazy. I've never had that much gold in my life on any character. I don't think I've had anything above 100 gold. Or actually, no, that's not true then, if you're saying 10k gold. Okay, so never mind, I lied. You can bypass it. Do you have to buy it off the LOTRO market? Doing the expo and the Slayers are a good way to get the LOTRO points too. Yeah, man. Dude, LOTRO's so kind with getting LOTRO points. I love it. But yeah, I just want to make that clear. The reason why I haven't really played Star Wars games, or why I kind of don't, is because I don't know if many of you guys know, but I actually had a Star Wars YouTube channel where I made fan edits. It's so cheesy, but I did that for like 3 years, and it was popular, you know, it was great, but like the toxicity, man, it's terrible. And like LOTRO's got some, you know, people who play it that are that lovely sometimes, but you know, it's on any game. But like SWTOR, I've seen it. It's rough. It's not. LOTRO's community is so like inviting, so y'all are so 20 times more inviting than the SWTOR people sometimes, you know what I'm saying? Buy gold bags from vault keepers. They stack in your inventory and sell for the price you bought them. Oh yeah, that is that workaround. Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, I always forget about that. That's a good point, Box. I try to avoid most games that are full of sweaty tryhards. Yes. And SWTOR is not a sweaty tryhard game. That's the craziest part about it. Like, I don't know why people... I don't know. Cancel me for saying this, but am I wrong?
I like it.
Yeah,
and Lord of the Rings Online, I never.
Thanks for the
had
weird
that
hydrate,
issue,
Shiro.
Like, ever. I mean, there have been situations, sure, and there's always like one bad apple, but
Phantom is also excessive. Yes.
Star Wars stuff. So, that's kind of the main reason, because I actually had a YouTube channel. It was like not my face or anything like that, where I just made Star Wars edits.
I did,
and it went really popular. Like I had over like 2,000 subs, so it was a great time. But
I
like,
said
the
really popular 2,000 subs.
People would just bash my ideas.
That's how it felt at
theories,
the time.
And
yeah,
it happens with anything. But
I think one thing I didn't mention either, it was that I actually met a lot of great people on there. No problem. Thank you. One thing I didn't mention in this either, because I didn't want to say it, but when I had that Star Wars account, okay, there were people that would bash like my ideas or whatever, you know, whatever. To each their own. But I remember that I had a lot more people who were DMing me and just saying like awful, like pretty crazy things, where it's like, you shouldn't be saying that to people, but you know, trolls on the internet, what you gonna do? But it was actually like super extreme, like almost to the point where like, I don't want to say I was getting like death threats, but like people would call me like trying to say like I'm trying to like spread some like inappropriate ideals about things, because newsflash, I made Anakin and Ahsoka like love edits, okay, and they were like, that's disgusting, she's a minor, and I was just like, bruh, I'm just editing a video, and like it was just a popular like thing, okay, I don't know. Yeah, 100%. Okay, yeah, gross. That's why it's not gonna happen. Okay, this is just something I was just editing. Okay, I just don't know. I don't know. I call them. yes, Guardians of Orthodoxy. Yes. Yeah, and it was just like people would like threaten me, and I was like, bruh. I'm making edits. I'm just literally putting storylines together, and I would just type out like things, and like some of them were romance, like Kylo Ray. Oh my gosh, guess what? It actually happened though. That's all. Like, I don't know. But like it was crazy. Like I will get like literally threatened from people online. And I was like, I'm literally just making edits, okay, for fun. I was in a video editing. That was all. It was weird. I don't know. It was super odd. Like, it was super odd.
I think that I was just so like obsessed with Star Wars because I'm a huge Star Wars nerd.
Sure, yeah.
Super obsessed.
So when I would hear like people's feedback, I'm like, no, this is my theory. Like, let me like say what I have to say. And with Lord of the Rings, I never had that issue. Like, always in the community. It's such a great community.
You guys always listen.
Welcomed. Like,
even if I'm wrong,
I've been invited to like some charity events.
It's fine.
On Twitch stuff for LOTRO.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, and like it's just such a great. It's almost like a smaller and like more impactful community because it's more like intertwined with a smaller branch of people. So
I'm probably gonna download LOTRO again. I feel like the Strengths of Goblins. Yeah.
And,
we might have to play some after.
Content.
No, that's awesome.
I wanna play the Burglar. I need to play.
Makes a ton of sense because content creation is a communal enterprise. For those who haven't done it before, it's very social, and that makes it complete sense now that I think about it.
LOTRO is more social than SWTOR, in my opinion. LOTRO's community is older on average, explains the mindset.
Now, with respect to community,
yes.
do you think there's overlap between?
There was a lot more trolls in Star Wars. I think one thing too with Star Wars, I'm sorry, I need to stop pausing, but one thing too with Star Wars is the timing when I was making videos about Star Wars and when I was interacting with more people on Star Wars, it was a very like, I want to say that, I'll say like a political time, I guess, because it was like right when The Force Awakens came out, like the older fan base was kind of getting ticked off with Disney because they were like, this is how Star Wars is supposed to be, this is what we want, which I tend to favor. I'm with the older fan base 100% about keeping that together. But then there was this newer fan base in Disney's perspective where they're like, we want to get more kids involved, so then that way like this can just keep going, down the future, you know what I'm saying? And literally, like, it was just such a heated time because it'd be like these like 20-some-year-olds like, or people like me, I should say, are like, yeah, we love Star Wars how it is. The Disney trilogy is going great so far until The Last Jedi, but we don't talk about that. But like, it was totally different perspectives about people who actually saw like Star Wars evolve over time with the original trilogy in comparison to people like me who were literally born before the prequels really even came out, or So, Star Wars is for kids who make buzzing sounds with their mouths while swinging around plastic swords. Yes. I mean, this is true. But I think also, like, the people like me, for instance, who grew up doing that and then actually trying to put, like, such a big weight on Star Wars, people my age don't understand how, like, important Star Wars was when it came out, like, how, like, kind of revolutionary, we'll say it was. Unlike the older fan base that saw all that kind of evolve. Slight trolling. It is. Maybe true. I think it is true. You like the OG trilogy? Dude, the OG trilogy is great. But I think that it is super important because I don't think I really understood how important Star Wars, like the original trilogy was to filmmaking in general until I read George Lucas's biography about it. And it made a lot more sense. I haven't watched Star Wars in a couple of years, haven't seen episode 9 yet. I like episode 9, okay? I'm a little on the weird side about it, because a lot of people don't like it. I liked it. I don't agree with everything in it, but I thought it was better than 8. I lost hope after 8. It's not great cinema, but it's naive and honest. Yeah, I don't think it's about the story that's so impactful about Star Wars. I think it's the way that it was filmed and like all of the technological aspects to it that makes it super impactful, which I don't think kids my age are gonna appreciate because we're all in like the CGI era. We're like, oh my gosh, like Thanos is totally CGI now, and oh my gosh, Marvel is just boom, boom, booming like every freaking 2 seconds with their scenes, and yeah. But Star Wars, like when they were trying to like basically make the sci-fi looking indie film that actually looked really hella good because George Lucas like spent a lot of time or got people who basically built stuff from scratch or used stop motion to his advantage. Like it's spectacular. Anyway, Star Wars lost its essence when it went serious. I agree, it really did. It really did. It really did.
How do I say this? Do you think that
All right,
LOTRO's
no
community
pausing.
is also one of its greatest features? There's probably a better way to say that. In other words, is that one major reason why you think it still maintains its active player base
100%
as a result of the quality of its community?
100%.
Yes. I honestly, I think that's one thing that LOTRO probably needs to pay more attention to, or 100%. At least do a little bit more improvement on, is with the community, because I feel like we are like tight knit.
Oh my gosh!
But
I have to pause because I'm gonna say something. You guys are probably like, "What are you talking about, Aubrey?" I mean, I wish Standing Stone would pay a little bit more attention to their community, and the fact of I wish that they would promote certain things a lot more within the community than they currently do. They do a decent job in comparison to other MMOs, but I feel like that they could do a more regular, routinely promoting of other community events or like server player-driven events than what they currently do.
I feel like it's so separate from Standing Stone
I'll
games
explain.
Sometimes. Like they're kind of doing their own streams like on their official like Twitch channel, and they'll allow like other LOTRO players to go on there and
LOTRO
such, but
players.
other than that, like that's about it. And then they have the forums, but I want something where it's just a little more like they have more community events going on in the game. Like they couple, but I think there could be more, because I know a lot of players that do their own, and that's great, but I just wish that they had more opportunities or maybe like challenges that would allow more people in the game to get together with some of the developers. I think that would probably be a better thing of feedback and improvement for them.
Interesting. So let me make sure I'm tracing this properly.
Yeah.
So you're not necessarily, and you jump in and correct me here at any point if I'm misrepresenting. This is really interesting. So are you saying not so much that they need more like,
I won't pause, I swear.
seasonal festivals like they just had for their
16th
year anniversary, and it's not so much that they get in the way of player run activities. Like I think there's an annual or biannual like music festival in LOTRO that I'm sure
There's a lot of band events.
That's so cool. And so it's not so much that they prohibit or they work against that, but rather there being more of a, I guess, a community with the developers themselves from the perspective of players.
Yeah, in my opinion, that's how I feel like it is. I think you said that so perfectly. Because they do have like the festivals and stuff, and those are great. I love those. Don't get me wrong. I'm always down to play a festival. Though, I wish that they would highlight or maybe just promote or market
You're gonna
like some
throw
of the
off
other
on Trent for a
player-led things that are happening.
Yeah,
and get
bye,
more
Shira.
examples.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, so I guess
Twitch
in this
outreach
regard,
seems
so
like just
what
one of the side hustles for
happened that I
Cord.
totally missed
Yeah,
one
it
day, but
is.
there was a band event.
Don't really know if it has the
there
full
was, like, a
support from
huge,
Standing Stone Games Management.
I guess like musical
I
band
don't either.
that went on in the Greenfields.
I'm
in
assuming,
LOTRO,
I guess, but
and this went on for like 6 hours or so. I think they played music. I think it was like 90s music or something. And
awesome.
it was great. They were streaming it all over Twitch. Like people were loving it. The community like posted it all over, but
all
I
over
never
the
saw
forums.
the devs ever address it or like try to promote it on like their social medias. Like try to at least help some of those people to get even more visibility.
Yeah, sure.
And I wish that there was more options or opportunities where the devs would kind of do that.
That's all I'm saying. I just wish that LOTRO would actually utilize their official social medias more so to promote in-game player events is all. Which they do occasionally, but it's with all the events that go on, I think that it could be a lot more.
No, that makes sense because
Court ever move on, there'll be no outreach at all. Yeah, Court does a great job. He does do a lot of outreach on Twitch and stuff. I don't know how any of that's associated, and I don't know why. I don't know what Standing Stone Games is doing in terms of outreach with the community and stuff, but I feel like it needs improvement. But I also don't know how they run their official LOTRO streams and how they do their Twitch related stuff with that. Because a lot of it's just run by content creators, which I honestly don't see the point. But what do I know?
In mind, mostly from like again an outsider perspective,
Mm-hmm.
is when I think about MMO communities that I've dipped my toes into over the years. As the MMO genre is my favorite gaming genre. And so I've dipped around.
Oh my god, almost
quite
2
a
hours
bit
of
over the
stream.
course of my life.
Sorry.
The community
Did not expect this to take 2
elements
hours.
of LOTRO, other than, I'm trying to think, like, have you ever heard of the MMO Rhythm?
I've heard of it, but I know nothing about it.
Nothing about it.
And it's difficult to even
No,
make
look
a
it up.
comparison because LOTRO, to my knowledge, has a very robust music system that players take advantage of. But other than some community-driven activity in Rhythm, and there's, I guess, some role-playing servers with like old school Neverwinter Nights games. But anyways, that's one of the unique components of LOTRO. When I think about, okay, what separates each title from others, immediately that comes to mind is not only LOTRO's community, but also what the community does with the different things within the game, like these music festivals. So it would make sense if the developers or the community manager, the marketing team leaned into that, because in my mind, like, I don't know.
I guess that's my thing. The marketing team should probably do a better job to lean on other players for some I guess content. Like, they do a lot with screenshots, and the screenshots are great because they'll post like a lot of screenshots like on the official like LOTRO group. I see everyone's screenshots on there and it's fantastic. But why don't they do like more like, I don't know, just, oh hey everyone, post your screenshots here and we'll feature some of them on social media. Oh hey everyone, we have this player concert on tonight. It's Dragon Fest. Go check it out. It's run by this character's name, and it'll be here at this time. Oh, and by the way, say hello to someone who from the official LOTRO team that's gonna be there. Here's their character name too. I don't know. I feel like that would actually improve their marketing. That's what the beacon did. There was a screenshot of the week for the beacon, but the beacon stopped a while ago. Yeah. Yep, I remember that. I do remember that, man. And now, yeah. I think for marketing's sake, or even advertising, they're actually missing out on free content and marketing from their own player base. I think that's what I'm explaining.
Know if you can do that type of thing in World of Warcraft or even like New World. I know that Black Desert Online has a music system, but I haven't come across anything near like the different musical, like the yearly I don't know what it's called, but it's at least once a year, right, where a bunch of different bands in game perform for an audience in LOTRO.
Yeah.
Do you have anything you want to add to that?
So just like one more quick thing, in regards to like Standing Stone and marketing.
I was like, I don't want to talk about music. I want to talk about marketing.
Who is like a marketing specialist in
I was like,
real estate.
Yes. Yeah.
I think that's
I was
one
like,
thing
frick music.
that could always be improved upon for any game, honestly. And Standing Stone, I think that they could improve it.
This was me trying to cover
like
my butt.
kind of just showcasing like
I'll
some
be
of the
honest.
community-led events, and yeah, by perfect example, by promoting like more like annual band tours and stuff, because people are having like tours on different servers, and
they are.
It's crazy, and yeah, I've never seen anything like that on any other MMO that I'm aware of. So I think that that's like a great marketing thing on their end, and it helps both parties out because the community will get more traction for all the band players who take time to rehearse and all of that. And then also Standing Stone will get more marketing and potentially more visibility for LOTRO. So
yep,
that's overall like a good.
It's just my brain. Marketing brain here.
No, that's excellent. Now, for someone who may not be aware of these traveling bands within LOTRO, what exactly do you mean? And perhaps I'm asking the question for myself, because I know there is this festival. I don't know if it's every year or
visible
or if the community just
confusion.
Ad hoc. But you mentioned like there are groups of
I'm gonna
players
be like
that will literally go on tour within the individual game servers.
Yeah. So I'm not aware of any like yearly band like tour that
Drake,
I know
every
that
time
has,
I say
to it. It seems to be like certain players will have like a group like in the Discord maybe, and then they all will go on certain servers at certain times and different days, and then they'll play at a certain location. They'll promote it in like LOTRO forums. What they typically do is
just one.
They'll take like maybe like themes. Like I know my good friend who I'm gonna shout out here, TD. He's a part of
TD,
an 18-player band, I believe, and
Goldwyn, I almost shouted you out here too. I couldn't. I was like, I will mention, like, I could mention 3 names. Goldwyn, you were my second person on my mind.
he comes in my chats and he'll tell me like what the band
You talk a
schedule
lot
is,
about
and then
bands
they
and
actually
stuff.
stream it on Twitch, so that way you can at least see it if you're not on
Yeah.
the server. But yeah,
I think, like, literally, Goldwyn, I think that, like, I feel like you came into the Twitch chats, like, you started slowly coming in, like, more and more talking in their chats, like, right when I did this. So I was like, Goldwyn, TD girl. And I was like, and I couldn't.
yeah, they'll typically kind of just take like any 80s, 90s musics, and then they'll broadcast it and then play it for a certain amount of hours. And yeah, it's become like its own community in itself. I don't partake in it too much, so I'm not sure how they play.
I don't partake in it.
They'll have weekly schedules that come out in the forum, so you just gotta have to keep an eye out.
Yeah, absolutely. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good.
So I over here on my other monitor, I did a quick search in it.
Maybe that's the thing. They need to take the stuff that's being put in the forums and publicize it on their main channels. Maybe that's all I mean. I'm glad to be here, by the way. Oh, no problem, Colton. All right, I think what I'm gonna do, we literally have, we still have a while to go. Pulling some good speak and using fancy words. I'ma try, Box, okay? I'ma try, no. I'm gonna grab water, but I'm gonna just play it for you guys because I gotta get through this. This is actually taking a lot longer than I thought. I didn't realize I was gonna mention so many things, but I'm gonna play it for you guys, but I'm gonna grab water. Didn't mean to cut you off. Is the battle cry? Yes, of the patriarchy.
Seems like there's a
Alright, I'm gonna grab water real quick.
annual music event called Weatherstock. Does that come to mind?
Yes, yeah. I see a lot, yeah. So Weatherstock's kind of like a location within Lowlands and LOTRO, but I do see a lot of bands play at Weatherstock.
Okay, interesting. Okay, gotcha. Fascinating.
Yeah.
And then to clarify, the bands play through LOTRO's music system. It's not like they're just funneling audio from Spotify. It's
correct.
There's a real skill involved by
I'm here.
I still need
oh my
to
god,
learn
Pedro!
how to do it.
Oh my god, why did this happen? Right as I walked away, Pedro, thank you for the raid. Welcome in, Raiders. So sorry. I swear to goodness, I just walked away for 2 seconds to grab water. Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome into our watch party. Pedro Pascal, I always love your name, Pedro. Yes, shout out. You're playing Baldur's Gate 3? Nice, nice. That was more than 2 seconds. Okay, Box, okay, it was like 30 seconds at least. I literally just had to walk out my room, okay? But thanks for the raid, Pedro. Welcome in, everyone. I'm Aubrey the Weird One, and we are watching MarleMMO. He just came out with a new video that I did an interview for, and we're just reacting to it. So, grab your snacks and enjoy. Oh my gosh, I can't click.
Because before my time in tech,
By the way, I have not gotten hit with one ad since the first one.
as a professional musician,
I probably just jinxed it, did
You actually
I?
have to perform the music as a band together using
Interesting.
LOTRO's built-in music system. It's actually an artistic expression with legitimate skill, right?
Yeah, so I think that what most people do for like special songs that aren't like composed by them, like using LOTRO system, but I think what they do is they almost like take like a mod so that someone has to go through
A plugin,
the time
Aubrey,
and
a
energy of kind of
plugin.
like putting the like music together and like put it in with LOTRO's music system and all that. So there are ways like you could go online and like find like maybe like, oh yeah, LOTRO piece of this 90s song, and then plop it into the music system with the mod. That's, I think, how most people go about doing it.
That's so interesting. That's cool. I'm
Yeah.
gonna have to check
Pedro,
that out at some
thanks
point.
for the
'Cause I know
raid.
there's an instrument
Again?
system. I don't know too much about that, but there may be even a deeper developer music.
Did you get my shout out?
To check out. That's awesome.
I'm sorry.
There's so many instruments in the game.
Thank you. I shouted you out again.
Oh sure, no, I
Also,
actually,
where does the I don't know it would be that long part come from? Do you not know how much you talk? I don't.
Lore friendly and immersive.
I don't know how much I talk. Also,
I don't know if you've read Tolkien, but
I just figured that I was gonna watch it and like not have stuff
full
to
of
say.
songs and poetry and music, and so for the developers to make that a bona
Wikio's
fide system,
catalog
to
is
me, just
roaring into
honors
your
the legacy
stream. Awesome.
of the IP.
Yeah,
Nice.
it's fantastic. I love how they put the music system together, and I've definitely heard that it's like no other. So I love it. I love all the music stuff. I hope the LOTRO music people
I just don't understand
are listening. I hope they keep doing what they're doing. They're doing great.
You guys are doing great out there. Okay, you guys are doing great.
And I'm sure if any of the music veterans are listening, let us know where we're getting this wrong, or
yes,
we can
please.
better represent.
I don't know crap
certainly as
about
an
the music
outsider,
system
in this topic, but I do celebrate. I think it's awesome.
I'm an outsider in this topic too. It's okay.
I am.
People talking about this.
Yeah. You're doing well. My name will be changing to Mikio in the near future. Got changed while making it joke. Nice. So that's awesome.
Are there any other?
You know, Pedro Pascal has to go sometimes. You know what I mean?
Mechanic or
it happens.
Feature or
but yeah, awesome.
Features that to you is LOTRO's biggest gameplay draw, or maybe stickiness in terms of why playing LOTRO, or why playing LOTRO is more enjoyable versus playing literally anything else.
For me, the biggest maybe not gameplay draw. For me, the best thing about LOTRO is because it does stick to the lore from what I've heard. I haven't read the books, unfortunately. I know I need to do it.
I know I need to.
But I think that's one thing that makes people kind of really into LOTRO, because it does pretty much stick to some lore, and you learn a lot. Like, I've learned a lot about other things that are barely touched on in the movies. So I think that that's one big draw. In terms of like combat and such, I don't necessarily. I think it's almost the same for the most part in comparison to other MMOs. Yeah, my assumption.
Combat's not.
I don't think there's anything really too special there.
There's a special room in
hell. It's mostly just the community aspect of it. The fandom of Lord of the Rings and actually sticking to the lore. And overall, I just think it's a really enjoyable, relaxed MMO, and I think that's probably one of the best draws to it, in my opinion. Like, I don't really sweat too much playing Lord of the Rings, and it's nice to kind of just play and, you know, let my mind go on autopilot, and I hear a lot of people say the same thing, so I think that's mostly the good part about it. And it's a little more grindy, too.
It is grindy. I love
and
grindy.
Also for the fact of a lot of the content that you have is pretty much free. Like, you don't have to pay anything to play it, which I think is also another big draw, because I never bought a membership or subscription for it. I only did it like 3 times ever. And I only did it because it was just more
3 or 4 now.
And every time I did it, I was like, I didn't really need this because I have all the expansions, I have all the quest packs. And then if I'm a free-to-play player, yeah, you do hit like a cap where you do need to buy the quest packs at like level 95 or 100. But if you grind enough, you'll get the points, so you can buy all that. And
only 3 times.
I liked getting the reward.
Listen.
So I think that that's the biggest draw to it.
I never did for my first 6 years.
It's really
not
not
what I should have said.
Big like paywall that people think. So that's a really neat thing about LOTRO.
Oh, totally.
Neat.
Yeah, so you brought up.
Look at me using big words sound neat.
My best to shoot an arrow at each of those. No. That's excellent. So the first regarding Tolkien's world and the world building.
Yeah.
What's fascinating is I asked in the LOTRO Reddit why people play LOTRO versus some other MMO or other game. Overwhelmingly, they said the exact same thing. And I remember reading their comments somewhat, not necessarily confused. I don't know if skeptical is the right word, but when thinking back, before I really seriously dove into LOTRO, there hasn't been a game that the world building itself is what captured me. Now, early EverQuest would be an exception to that, but I think it's similar to you in terms of it was my first MMO, so just the magic of, you know, an NPC or something that normally in a game would be an NPC, but it's actually another human player behind that. That is just earth-shattering when I was like 12. When it was,
me too, man.
Doing my age a little bit here, but anyways.
Me too.
Me too.
But,
it's okay.
Me too. Yeah.
When I started playing LOTRO and I took a moment to appreciate the world building, it finally clicked. And I understood, and I'm beginning to understand now why that's such a compelling reason. One example is in the new zone that was released with the most recent kind of mini expansion.
Before the Shadow.
I'm forgetting the name of that,
I believe.
the very first one. But there's a little idyllic town in which your character starts. I think it's like Mossword or something. The lore junkie here are going to correct me here. But what blew my mind
before the Shadow, I think.
This is what, like I said, kind of tipped the bottle, was in the blacksmith's house. I believe it's the blacksmith house. Who's a dwarf, and kind of.
Oh yeah, he mentioned this in the video already.
But in his bedroom is a picture of the door that enters into Moria.
Yeah.
And now I don't know too much
LOTRO's
about the particular
world feels real.
And if they've
I didn't get that feeling from ESO,
but that, like, subtle
where
detail,
the
like,
world is more or less a
into the
backdrop you
person's
travel
room.
through from one quest location to
The character
another.
itself, like in the dialogue, to my knowledge, didn't
I haven't played ESO.
reference that at all.
ESO's
but the
very
world,
beautiful,
basically
though.
the world taking itself seriously.
But I haven't heard
and
that it's more
just
like a
being one
backdrop.
example
That's an
of it, that you have
interesting
this dwarf who is, I don't know how many
take,
miles
Box.
separated from their, you know, legendary home community, and one little glimpse into maybe what the dwarf thinks about at night or something was this the door that kind of represents home, despite being, you know, very, very far away. And then there were other examples that reiterate that same thing in terms of the developers really did a fantastic job representing Middle Earth in the context of an MMO. I have read that there is also a professor who also hosts a class once a year or so using LOTRO as an example for Tolkien literature.
That is cool.
Exactly. So, and so
I love it.
Even playing like with my warden, going through Mordor, then like Gondor and Rohan, there are absolutely not only is the world building gorgeous, but like the storytelling, just the way the developers have crafted the world, or the way they tease like upcoming ruins, it really draws you in. And so that made a lot of sense in terms of your answer, and also how that corroborates the responses from all these other individuals who replied to my question as well. Now, another item.
I love the way that Marle
was
explains that. It's
not only
perfect.
From your perspective,
His words are a lot better.
Monetization incredibly generous.
Hell
but
yeah.
You also snuck in this comment about there being potential confusion from looking from the outside in terms of LOTRO being expensive, or it being cumbersome, or it being difficult to get into with respect to its monetization. Is there any clarity you want to provide to someone who's listening and they do have that perception? But
oh gosh, how long do I go on for?
I've
how long am I gonna
for free for, we'll say, at least 11 years, at least, probably more. I know people who stream on the LOTRO stream, like the official Twitch stream, that have never paid a dime and have access to all the in-game content. So there's proof of people who have never had to put any sort of monetary value into LOTRO, who have played it for several years, and they're able to get access into all of the content. So that's my biggest takeaway for anyone who's listening who was like, oh, there's a paywall, or I don't want to get into it because of the paywall. Like, yeah, I guess. I almost like to think of it like a soft paywall, where once you get to level 100, you can pay to get a subscription and then get access to all the in-game content. but if you take the route that I took and just grind
Takes
the game,
effort and organization, but
make a
nothing of
couple
value
dozen
is ever for
characters and
free.
do a lot
Yeah,
of
true.
deeds, you'll get there. So
Heck yeah.
that's my only thoughts on that.
Yeah, and to your point, if the wall becomes increasingly less soft by the time you're level 100, and for a Lotro context, you don't blitz through levels like in Black Desert Online, where you're level, 54 in like a couple of hours.
That's crazy.
On my captain.
What kind of an
he's running to level
MMO would
20,
do that?
and I probably have
54
spent
in a
at
couple
least 20
hours?
hours on him alone, and sure, I wasn't like grinding and speed leveling, but there's definitely a journey involved. So if you actually get a character legitimately to level 100, and it's free, the amount of hours to do that, I don't know what it would be off the top of my head.
Weeks,
that's
months,
a pretty insane value.
Maybe even years.
Yeah, I can actually offer a little bit of clarity because someone just asked me this the other day.
They did.
So
I remember
for
it.
leveling and how long it takes to level, I started streaming a Runekeeper 2 years ago when I first started streaming, like ever.
Mm-hmm.
I stream once a week, give or take a couple weeks, you know, time off from stream schedule, stuff happens, but I've been streaming pretty consistently for average of 3 hours once a week for 2 years, the same character, and they're only at level 75. My total time in the game, it says that I've had a playtime of 1 week's worth and 1 day and like I think it was like 12 hours. So
it was crazy.
I put a lot of hours into this one character, and they're still not even close to level 100. So.
And that week is full 24 hours.
Yes. Yeah. That was
so
a full
we're talking
24.
What? Almost 200 hours.
Yeah.
200 hours.
Yeah. Several hours just for the one character. Just for one character.
Sure, totally.
Just for one character.
What, 75. So.
Yep.
3/4 of the way in terms of level, but not necessarily in terms of time.
Right.
200 hours? Dude, that's
example.
crazy.
I'm glad you brought that up.
There's no way that's 200 hours.
I don't know, some
I
people
got a
can
math.
do this as a con, others as a pro, but in terms of like length of leveling, now I personally am in the group that I like longer
168. Yeah, close to 200.
Because it makes it feel more impactful.
It's 168 plus whatever hours I said.
Not necessarily with the
a
length
day?
Of the levels,
it was
but
like a day? Yeah, like
secondary
200
consequence
hours.
of that is that it does
200
feel like a journey,
hours to get near level 100.
Like you are a character within
200
Middle-earth
hours.
versus there being some sort of skip feature, even though there are those like those valor like you mentioned. But with respect to issues in Lotro, I do know that you brought up the kind of marketing side.
Oh God,
kind of like
here we go.
Outside of the game kind of component.
Here we go.
But in terms of like an in-game, either a mechanic or a secondary effect of a feature, what do you think Lotro's biggest issue is? Now, I am familiar with people who, and I've actually experienced it myself in terms of the server lag, so that immediately comes to mind. But I'm curious if you have, because of your long history playing Lotro, is there anything that jumps out in terms of the developers needing to really emphasize on something?
I've had a lot of people tell me that
This was a difficult question for me because I don't really follow, like, I don't really play Lotro for the combat or like really the game mechanics. Like there are things that might bug me, but I'm so used to them that it doesn't bother me or it's something I can't complain about. But yeah, this was difficult for me. I think I mostly gravitate towards what you guys say, so well, let's hear.
UI, the UX design needs to get
UI,
redone,
yes.
and it's something that me personally, I never had an issue with, but
I never
now that it's
did.
been pointed out to me, like scaling wise, because the resolution is just terrible.
It is.
For people who have larger monitors. Like
oh my
on a
God, it's
character portrait.
terrible.
That is something that I wish that they would redo or fix at some point.
Okay.
I think that's overall kind of it. I think some of like the smaller things that you'll kind of run into sometimes is that sometimes quests don't progress, and
yes,
so I just had this happen the other day.
This
I completed
did
a quest
happen
twice and it didn't progress, so I had to submit a ticket. Yeah,
wow.
but that's like so rare. It does
It
happen
happens, though.
every once in a while, so it kind of affects the gameplay because some of my characters get stuck. But
Yes, I've actually had this happen a couple times where either quests won't progress for me after I turn them in, or there's an update that comes out and then my characters get stuck because I was currently working on like a story quest, like for the LI system, for example. When the new one came out, literally I could not progress into Moria, and that character still to this day cannot progress into Moria because I was in that weird phase where my weapon, I was leveling my legendary item weapon, the old weapons, and you have to get it to level 10 before you could advance in Moria. And I clearly we don't have the old legendary weapons anymore, so I got stuck and I cannot progress into Moria because I do not have the story quest. So, quests. There's just small little quest issues, but
sure, if there's a chain, that does make sense. I don't know if I've encountered that, but I'll be on the lookout.
It's only with this one minor, quest. Right? Yeah.
Okay, so it's few and far between.
Yeah, it's I've only had it happen with the same quest once, and it's like a level 40 or so quest, so I wouldn't worry too much about it. Though I think that's honestly it most.
I'm regarding what I'm mentioning here is about the Raven quest in Forakel. I literally always get stuck there for whatever reason. It never wants to progress me, and I always have to redo that little like where you save the Raven. And you return it back to its trainer. I cannot progress that for any character most of the time, and it's a little defeating.
Honestly, I think one thing too, just general feedback, and like, this happens, so it's not even on them. Like, I'm not trying to call them out, but what happens sometimes with some of the newer things that they come out with, they don't really have any sort of plan for people who are kind of stuck in the middle. So for an example, I've
never had a problem with that quest.
Guardian who was working on a legendary item.
I've literally had a problem with that quest in at least 3 different characters on 2 different servers. Like, it's just never had any issue with it. You guys are just lucky, I guess. I don't know.
And that
it's
like
not
a
my
level
rig
50 like milestone essentially. So in your
I'll have to pull out my ticket.
And
done
the
it
story
11 times on Crick alone.
You had to get your legendary item.
So I've had the issues with it twice on Gladden, and I want to say the last issue I had, it was on Crick.
Up to level 10 before you could access Moria. And then the game developers, they launched this new,
and the whole progressor LI to level 10 thing was only an issue when they changed from the old to the new system. Yes, but I'm literally still stuck. They have not fixed my issue. I'm still pissed about it. Like, I literally have submitted 3 tickets to them to fix it, and literally everything that has happened in order for me to even get access into the new room. Like, I still can't even get access into the new legendary item system room. Like, in the room in Rivendell, like the Traceries archive or whatnot they're called. I legit cannot progress right now. I'm still stuck. So like, I'm about to delete the character because I'm like, I can't play them. I guess I could do other stuff, but I'm never gonna be able to pick up the story quest until whenever it's past Moria. But it totally just killed my deeds. I don't know what yeah. It's an issue that definitely happened, but I'm just like still sitting here like, bruh, why can't you fix this? Like, this is an issue that multiple people have had, and they still have not found a thorough way to fix it. So they clearly just don't care about that, and I don't know.
It's like they completely reworked it all, and now legendary items have to be bought at the specific location.
Yes.
So
which I do not have access to.
And I still have this issue to this day.
I still have this issue to this day.
Because they didn't plan for characters who are
July
currently
30th,
in that quest chain,
2023.
and they didn't have like a backup plan.
Yeah.
My character's
It's all about
completely
priorities,
stuck.
though.
I can't access
I
any
get
story
it.
quest. I can't get into Moria.
You cancel the
and
quest,
because
get someone
I
to
didn't
summon you.
access this legendary item.
Oh yeah. So LOTRO Wiki told me that I can get someone to summon me into the archive. Yes. I can get the new legendary item. Yes. And you should be able to get through it. Yeah, I can. I have tried every other way. I don't have another person I could ask right now. I will probably at some point. I will if I really care about the character. They can't do everything there is to do. Yes, I understand, Bill, and I made that clear here too, because I was like, well, clearly, you know, other MMOs do the same. I'm just saying, I wish that they would thoroughly kind of process some more, because even with the power stat change that they did recently, literally on my warhorse I could not get through the tutorial because I did not have enough power to use skills that were needed. Now there are workarounds for it now that I've discovered, that I've done. I just don't understand why they don't do a little more research before just making these updates. Like, I'm terrified for the stat crunch because I have a feeling it's going to probably bug out a couple different places where you cannot progress the game on certain characters. But we'll see. I don't know. I just feel like when they plan things, they don't thoroughly go through everything, which probably would take them hours. Which I get it. Like, they're busy. I just wish that they would probably consider more options before just pushing stuff out, but they're so focused on trying to push things out right now that I don't think they realize that they're gonna break a couple things. But that's any game, like I've said. You have to use only default attacks to get through the War State tutorial. Yeah. I couldn't even use them sometimes because I ran out of power all the friggin' time. Told Standing Stone about the issues with the Malta Warrior questline before they released the new systems. During Bull Roar, wait, so you guys told them and they still couldn't find a better workaround than me having to, like, basically ask people to summon me in? Or the other response I got, which was, oh yeah, just like... I literally did this, by the way. I literally went all the way over to Lothlorien, and I walked my little happy butt all the way over to the back end of Moria, made my way through to the beginning of Moria so that I could get potential access, or like I could at least start the Moria quest, but I still cannot get the main quest storyline. I'm like, why? I don't understand. That's all. Yeah, I understand they can't do everything. Yeah, you can't go, but you can't go back through the door. I know. It sucks. That's all. But I just wish that they would thoroughly try to think about this stuff before just releasing it. But it sounds like you guys made it clear to them, and I don't know. I guess they were just like, well, TS. I don't know.
Quests to even.
I'm just unlucky, I guess.
Item.
I don't know.
I can't get into the area to even purchase a legendary item. So I just wish that they had more. Yeah, I'm totally stuck. I've submitted like 2 tickets and
maybe that's the thing. Maybe they need maybe they need like a button that you press that's like, it's almost like an unstuck button. That's how like, you know how you're stuck in a game, you know, you're like physically stuck, like your character can't move. So you type in the unstuck button and then like you'll get teleported out or whatever. Maybe that's what LOTRO needs when it comes down to when quest lines are broken, or like you're stuck and you can't progress. Like, I wish there was almost like this like 3-time like chain that you could do to like just automatically start to advance or pick up the next quest, so then that way you were still progressing. I don't know, that might be too crazy, but nothing unlocks unless you beat back the Watcher. Yeah, I can't even start that quest, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, I literally can't get the story quests, which is unfortunate. So I think I'm just gonna have to delete the character and move on and call it a day. But it kind of sucks, but it's alright. It's alright. I don't play on the server too much, so.
They're like, well, can't you just like have one of your other characters port you? And I'm like, I mean,
yes, this was one conclusion I got when I submitted the ticket. Well, can you have another character port you? Bruh. Why do I have to literally waste a port? Why was I asked to do this? Can't you guys just make it simple and just give me the next quest? Like, give me the story quest. I will revert back to the old story quest or something. I don't know. Why do I have to go report myself into the archives, man? Why was that an answer? I'm just upset.
I mean, I guess, but like, can I just get in this area? You know, yeah. So it's I wish that's happened with some of their newer changes where some of my characters do get stuck because they're kind of in this area where, okay, like we're rolling this out, but you're kind of in this awkward area where you just can't progress, or there are things that you have to start completely from scratch when other people don't have to because they were just right at that sweet spot. So I wish that they would just plan a little more thoroughly for some of their newer releases. But I mean, this happens to anyone, so it's not just them. But it's not just them.
SWTOR has that too. It's happened.
Criticism to have, because you would expect players who are part of the legacy system for there to be logic within the game update to update either their status or their permissions. Like you said, you have apparently the game checks for a legendary item at a certain level, but that's not relevant anymore. Or the details of what I'm saying could
heck no.
The specific terms could be changed. But anyways,
LOTRO's future. Oh gosh, here we go about Amazon.
Beyond the UI and beyond
I'm scared.
Maybe additional
What did I say?
thought with respect to developers, is LOTRO in a good state as an MMO?
This is such a difficult question because if we were to do this like 2 days ago, I would have said yes. But Amazon Games came out and said that they're probably going to do their own Lord of the Rings MMO in the same time period. So I am definitely worried about LOTRO's state right now because of that, because Amazon is a really big... Amazon Games is such a big name, so they have like the marketing power and stuff behind it.
It's such a big company.
So I think LOTRO is in a great state right now, but once this new game, if it does come out, once that comes out, I'm very, very nervous for the state of LOTRO. I don't think that people are really gonna remain because it'll be almost compared to this new Amazon Games Lord of the Rings MMO, and I think just graphics wise and all of that with LOTRO, people probably don't play LOTRO because they take one look at the graphics, they're like, oh my goodness, this is so outdated. So
there are a lot of people, unfortunately, who do that,
and I think that'll be a future issue down the road.
Absolutely. So internally, in terms of LOTRO by itself, other than the two issues you described earlier, internally, it feels good. Like you said, like 2 days ago, the context was different. Versus existentially, now with very specific competition, comparatively, they need to figure out what their battle plan is.
I'm shocked about this, guys. Okay, I want to be frank with you guys. I'm shocked how many of you guys are really like not worried about Amazon Games MMO with Lord of the Rings. I mean, granted, they might not even come out with that for several years. My guess would be like closer to 5 years, but I'm terrified when I don't think LOTRO's gonna survive. At least I feel like it'll probably withhold for a good year, and then after that year, I have a feeling it's gonna be like, all right, well, clearly we've lost a lot of fan base, and I do feel like people would probably stay around and try to keep the servers around, but I feel like Amazon Games announcing it is kind of like a trajectory to be like, all right, it's time to sign off from LOTRO because we're doing other things now. But I don't know, I mean, people have said otherwise, that LOTRO's great monetary and all of that too, so I'm like, well, that's good. I don't know, I feel like Amazon Games is gonna attract a lot of newer people to their stuff, and that's probably the audience that overall, like, that maybe Lord of the Rings will gravitate more towards. I don't know, like younger audiences maybe, I don't know. I am a little worried. I'm not gonna lie, I'm a little worried.
Yeah, and I think LOTRO, like, just with the game and
sticking around on LOTRO might play the Amazon one out of curiosity.
There's room for improvements for it, but I think...
Oh yeah, I should put that out there too. I'm definitely gonna try the Amazon Games MMO of Lord of the Rings. But I definitely will be sticking with LOTRO 100%. Chronic, you say Lord of the Rings will survive for the same reason WoW Classic and other older MMO private servers survive. Amazon's MMO won't be anything like LOTRO, so people will still crave what LOTRO is going. Yeah, for sure. I think Amazon's MMO will definitely be different, and quite frankly, I'm sure everyone's correct that it's not even going to be nearly as good as LOTRO. I mean, LOTRO is pretty awesome, but I am just a little anxious. I don't know. I'm always someone who's super nervous and anxious about this stuff. Like SWTOR switching companies now too. I'm a little scared for SWTOR. Look at Amazon's MMO track record. LOTRO has little to fear. Yeah, honestly, you're right. They do have a crazy track record that's not looking too great. But I mean, anything could happen. We'll see, I guess. I'm not sure.
I think overall, it's a fantastic
Maybe
game.
I'm stressing too much.
I know personally, for me, like
it'll be
I'm not
Rings
gonna
of
stop
Power
for a while, so
it'll be terrible.
It's just got this great
No way.
energy about it, and
If
I
it's
can't
ROP
explain it
MMO,
about
it's
any
doomed to
other
begin with.
MMO with like just some of the strategy parts of the game. So yeah, I think in that regards, like yes, LOTRO is a great MMO. It's in a great state for that matter. But yeah, externally, it's looking a little grim in the future.
It's looking a little grim.
It would be interesting if we actually had this conversation 2 days ago to see what your answer would be.
Right.
So, no, why should a veteran, and I suppose I could label you that, sorry if you don't identify with being a veteran LOTRO, but why should a veteran keep playing LOTRO? And why should someone new try it?
Why a veteran should keep playing LOTRO is simply because they're coming out with new things. I mean, we're probably going to get a new class by the end of the year with a new expansion, and they'll probably increase the level cap. So in the meantime, just keep grinding other characters. So that's my main advice for like veterans, why they should keep playing it. New players, I think the thing that's hard for newer players and what can be quite overwhelming, and this is as someone who's, you know, taken maybe a year or two off from playing LOTRO, it happens. But every time I come back, I would feel very overwhelmed because, especially as a new player, you're starting from scratch. Everyone else is pretty much ahead. But I would just say, don't think about how much you're going to have to learn with the game, because that can be overwhelming. Take it one step at a time. Definitely just play the game. That's what I did. Just mindlessly hit buttons and you'll figure out the rest later.
This is terrible.
That's how I did it. I mean,
Learning by doing, sure, yeah.
This is terrible. I love how I don't even answer the question. I'm like, here's my advice for new players. And then I'm like, oh yeah, just mindlessly hit buttons. I mean, it works, okay? I think that's the thing too. People get too in their head when they first start a game. And I'm like, yo, just hit some buttons, you'll figure it out. It's terrible advice. That's how I get through life, y'all. Like, please, you know, I'm sure you guys relate. Why should new players play the game? Honestly, I think the thing that people need to understand for new players, I think the problem with that question is almost like, I feel like the only types of new players that want to play LOTRO are people that like Lord of the Rings. I feel like anyone else, I guess maybe that's not the problem with the question. The problem is I don't know how to answer it, because I feel like it's so gravitated towards people that like Lord of the Rings. Those people that are not like really into Lord of the Rings or anything, I don't really see them playing it, because I feel like they're not going to understand the world, and they won't be interested maybe. Stree, thanks so much for a follow. Welcome to the weird community. Hope you're having a good one. For any new players that want to play though, download the game. Why I would recommend Lord of the Rings over any other MMO is because of the world, but that's difficult because you're not going to understand it unless you know something about Lord of the Rings, I guess, or you have some sort of like curiosity from it. So yeah, new players should play just if they really like the environment within it. It's a beautiful world, but other than that, that's about it. That goes for any MMO. Honestly, normal landscape difficulty, you could face roll your keyboard and win. Yes, honestly, that's what I did for years. You know, everyone. That's what I did for years, guys.
Oh, well, that's how we learned to walk and crawl. You make some mistakes, you try it out.
Yes,
exactly.
I mean, that's what I did.
Of the world. Don't look at the world chat. Don't think about, oh my gosh, I don't know what I.
First thing, do not look at the world chat when you first get started. Please don't. It's just so you're gonna be so confused. You're gonna be overwhelmed. It's not worth it.
Doing like just turn that off and just start mashing buttons. If you die, hey, it happens to everyone.
It happens.
You know, you'll revive. It's okay. And
you will revive.
Just overall, just for new players to kind of get into LOTRO, it's just an overall great community. I love it.
It is a good community.
That they're always
that's the reason I play LOTRO. Good community. New players stay off Arkenstone and stay away from Bree. Your PC will thank you, yes.
Just overall community based. There's just so many different areas in LOTRO you can kind of specialize in. So like if you wanted to fish in LOTRO, I know people who do a lot of fishing in LOTRO and that's it. Some people like to be in the band. So you can kind of like take that world in Lord of the Rings and kind of make it your own. So that's a really good thing I wanted to highlight.
No, that's awesome. So I want to honor your time again. Thank you so much for the conversation. Now, before
thanks
we
for having
end,
me.
though,
Yeah,
anytime,
it was
where
awesome.
can people find you in your content?
Yeah, so I'm always posting some
Promo.
guides or even tips for veteran players, but specifically for new players on YouTube. So you can find me at Aubrey the Weird One on YouTube. And then I also stream on Twitch. I stream LOTRO at least one day a week. Right now it's Tuesdays, so you can check me out there at Aubrey the Weird One as well. And it's all lowercase and everything's spelled out. There's no number one. It's just spelled with
No
ONE
number
at
one.
the end. So
If
yeah,
the community
that's
is
mostly what
great,
I'm
why
doing
turn
right
off
now.
world chat?
I appreciate you for having.
Turn off world chat when you first start because it's overwhelming. And honestly, I don't think the world chat's like community. I feel like the world chat is spammy, or it's people kind of just like memeing. That's why I don't trust world chat. You spend a lot of time answering people's questions from world chat. I mean, if people have genuine questions from world chat, you know, good. I just always see world chat as spammy and memey. I don't like world chat.
Having me on again. Thank you.
Oh, not a problem.
Awesome. That was it. World chat is like trade chat, and wow, it's a lot. It could be super toxic. I feel like world chat. I mean, world chat. I'll put this out there too. World chat has definitely expanded. Like it hasn't been as toxic lately, but it's still pretty toxic. It's meme, trolly, and spammy. Gosh, you know what I love about world chat? I love the days where I'm just going through, and then it's like, oh yeah, so here's how you get 999 gold. Question: how do you level up fast in the game? People say it's from doing missions. You have to speak to a mission recruiter. They're basically like, there's one in Bree, and they're pretty much scattered around Middle Earth. And then those are like dailies that you can kind of do, like quick quests, I guess, and then that will give you XP, and then you'll also get like some decent rewards. That's how most people do it, I guess. Honestly, there's really no good way to level fast in LOTRO, in my opinion. I think maybe the best way is just I think Pozdo, who's someone who would typically lurk in my chats a lot in the earlier days when I streamed. He said that the best way to level for him was from doing the main story quest, that gave him the best XP, so that might be a way too. And then also just make sure that you use your XP boost. Landy's world chat is pretty good most of the time. Can get spicy sometimes. Yeah, true. Depends on what you mean by fast. LOTRO isn't a fast leveling game compared to other MMO. Yeah, it's super slow. Missions are linked to content though, so you need some content either bought or from a coupon code. Yeah, that's true too. Yeah, thank you, Igor. Arkansas world chat is a combo of helpful people and full troll. There are so many trolls. I literally feel like one day on world chat they were like, I think someone was asking for help about their minstrel, like which tier was the best, and everyone was like, do blue tier for soloing. I was like, no, that's terrible. What are you guys saying? All right, well, that was it that I had for today, guys. I thought I would play a little bit of LOTRO, but I seriously need to finish editing. It's literally so late here. AGD, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome to the weird community. I hope you're having a blast today. But let's find out who we're gonna raid today. I'm so far behind on getting this out. This video out. I was supposed to get this video out like hours ago. I'm slacking. I'm so sorry, guys. So there will be a new YouTube video out tonight whenever I get it posted, but I'm a little behind, but it's okay. Someone's doing a streamathon. Oh, it's Sky! Wait, should we go raid Sky? Doing a streamathon monthly event. LOTRO +5 difficulty. Sounds awesome. Great video. Thanks, Godwin. I appreciate it. Gosh, I didn't realize how nervous I was. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, oh god, I was tripping. If I sit down in no life LOTRO for a month, I can get a fresh tune from 1 to 70. Oh my gosh. Yeah, maybe if I had no life for a month too. I have literally never played a minstrel. I can give no advice, not even a shred. Oh gosh, I need to play like more different types of characters. We'll say. Took me over a year to get my first tune to 50. I'm an altaholic. I'm an altaholic too, AG. You know, I'm with you 100%. I'm such an altaholic. It took me forever to get to the max level, and now it's like, oh my gosh, like crazy how some people do it so quickly. All right, so we're gonna go raid Sky. Sky actually typically pops up in the chat sometimes, so it'll be nice to officially meet. But I hope you all enjoyed this little podcast video. It was great to be on with Marle. It was fantastic. I really appreciate him for asking me. And yeah, I hope that you guys got some takeaways and I was able to at least like kind of reiterate some things, because some things I was kind of asked and I was like, this is what I could think of off the top of my head, you know? So, yeah, for sure. You started nervous, but you settled in nicely. Thank you, artists. Yeah, I feel like it got a little better. It was on games I was like, listen, this is how I feel. But a lot of it's also like, I want to cover my butt, you know? I don't want to say anything rude to Static Stone because they do a great job. There's just some changes. And some of them are just me things, you know? My main is 76. I've been playing for 7 years. Oh my gosh, big. It's okay. My main is only 108 now, I think, and I've been playing for freaking ever. Well, let's go raid Sky. But thank you all for watching. I appreciate all the follows, subs, all that. Definitely keep an eye on YouTube. I'll be uploading that video as soon as I get it done. It's the first thing I'm doing as soon as I get off. But thank you all. Stay weird as always. Bye-bye.